Chapter 209. Guopai drove the two of them around the capital. Suddenly, he was a loss. Go back to Wu Castle? It was a little late to go back now. Go to T-Rex? Xing Tian and the rest hadn't gone back yet. Even if they went back, they would only be Xia Wudi's coolie. Go to the auction house to look for Luyan. He had two girls with him. Although he wasn't afraid of what others would say, he still had to consider the feelings of the girls. Bad husband, have you not thought of where to go? Then let's go to my house. My grandfather wants to see you, Sun Ling Ling said with a smile, her face slightly red. Lin Shuang, let's go together. You've been busy these past 2 days. When we reach Ling Ling's house, I have to help you take a look. Now that the Gu family's matter is settled, I'm preparing to go to the Lin family to propose marriage. Guopai said with a smile. Lin Shuang's face flushed red. However, Guopai's trip to the capital this time made Lin Shuang completely accept this man. No, this little man. I'll listen to you. Let's go to Ling Ling's house. I don't want to go home anyway. They call me because they wanted to contact you through me and see if you would buy me a good price. They didn't consider my feelings at all. Lin Shuang said softly with a trace of sadness. Guopai reached out and hugged Lin Shuang. You've been too tired recently. After we leave Ling Ling's house, I'll follow you back to the Lin family. I'll see who bullied my wife. Do they still want to live? Lin Shuang obediently lay in Guopai's arms. Sun Ling Ling looked at Guopai with a trace of jealousy. She stepped on the accelerator and sped toward her house. Shuang didn't pick up the phone. Lin Shuang's father, Lin Xingyun, called Lin Shuang more than 10 times. In the end, Lin Shuang directly turned off her phone. In the Lin family's courtyard, a house full of people waited for a long time before hearing this sentence. Lin Xingyun, this is your good daughter. She played such a trick at such a crucial time. Tell me, now that the Gu family is finished, what about the business cooperation between the Gu family and our Lin family? A man about the same age as Lin Xingyun said in a strange voice. Lin Xingyun, back then, the Gu family and the Lin family cooperated because Lin Xingyun let Shuang and Gu Lai's arranged marriage. Our family has done enough for the entire Lin family. If you have the ability, get your uglies ***** to look for that Guopai. Lin Xingyun said loudly. He was a little angry. Over the years, with the help of the Gu family, the Lin family had become stronger day by day. However, all of this was because Gu Lai had taken a fancy to Lin Shuang, and the Lin family had used Lin Shuang as a bargaining chip in exchange for all of this. He had already let his daughter down, but now, these people in the family had such an attitude. Xingyun, think a way to contact Xiao Shuang. If you can contact her, regardless of whether Xiao Shuang can get Guopai to help her or not, Xiao Shuang is still my granddaughter. She has done enough for the Lin family. Let her come back. I won't force her anymore. Lin Sanyuan, the current head of the Lin family, said softly. After he finished speaking, he turned and left the hall. An hour ago, more than 30 influential families in the capital had gathered in the meeting room of the city committee building. The entire capital's police force had been mobilized. If anything happened to any of these people in the city committee, the capital would be in chaos. Everyone, thank you for your contributions to the capital's economic development over the years. This time, I called everyone here because I have something to tell you. Although Li Dafu was sitting at the front, whether it was Xianyuan Xiongfeng Nangong Mouse, Niuzhen Shan, Ouyang Xie, or retail King Zhang Tianzhan, all of them brought great pressure to Li Dafu. These people all had different expressions, and Li Dafu didn't know what they were thinking. Dafu, if you have something to say, just say it. It's already very late. I hope what you say will interest us, the head of the Shi family, Shi Yongqi, said with a smile. Regarding the Gu family, I think everyone has more or less heard some rumors. Uncle Xiongfeng, Uncle Mos, and Uncle Jinshan should know more than me, Li Dafu said with a smile. The three old men looked up at Li Dafu and didn't say anything. Ahem, I'll just say it. Seeing that the three old men didn't have any intention to speak, Li Dafu coughed a few times and said with a hint of helplessness. The Gu family has already been classified as a terrorist organization. Today, the Violent Dragon Group took action and uprooted the Gu family. Today, I called everyone here to discuss the Gu family's properties. Although the Gu family is a terrorist organization, they have played a significant role in the capital's economy over the years. I don't want the disappearance of the Gu family to affect the capital's overall situation. Dafu, where did you get this news? You can't speak carelessly about this. A few heads of families that were close to the Gu family stood up, although they had also received the news today and knew that the violent dragon group was looking for trouble with the Gu family. At first, they thought it was just a small matter. Following the principle that the common people shouldn't interfere in a fight between immortals, they didn't go to the Gu family to help. But now, Li Dafu actually said that the Gu family had been uprooted by the violent dragon group. It was unbelievable. Everyone, sit down and talk. The news was given by the higher-ups. The Dragon King, Xiao Wudi, personally gave the order. But the higher-ups asked me to tell everyone not to worry. This matter is only targeted at the Gu family. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to reach the municipal committee. Li Dafu looked at the few old men and said with a smile, the Gu family had been annihilated, and these families were afraid from the bottom of their hearts. Back then, they didn't care about him, the secretary of the municipal committee. But now, their expressions had completely changed. Dafu, since the Gu family is a terrorist organization, our Wu family will stop all contact with the Gu family later. Don't worry about this matter. Wu Xuanfeng said with a smile. Back then, he had been the closest to the Gu family. Half of his businesses were related to the Gu family. Since the higher-ups wanted to deal with the Gu family, he had to take advantage of the fact that the Wu family was still fine to draw a clear line with the Gu family. A few people who had nothing to do with the Gu family looked at him with a trace of disdain. Dafu, our Xinyuan family will take over the Gu family's shipping business in the Yuntian harbor and the real estate in the 8 northwestern cities. There won't be any trouble. These things aren't what our Xinyuan family wants. They are mainly for my granddaughter and granddaughter as betrothal gifts. After marrying into Wu Castle, they can't be too shabby, Xinyuan Xiongfeng said with a smile. Everyone in the room was stunned. The Yuntian harbor's shipping business was also the foundation of the Gu family's existence in Huaxia for thousands of years. Xinyuan Xiongfeng said that these things belonged to the Xinyuan family. Everyone was stunned. However, it seemed that Nangong Mouse didn't object. If these things were the dowry, it would be the first dowry in Huaxia. Yintian Harbor will be handed over to Brother Xiongfeng. The energy of West Iron will be handed over to the Nangong family. Although Ling Mo is still young, he will have to stay in Wu Castle sooner or later. Nangong Mouse said with a smile. Except for Niuzhen Shan, the others didn't understand what the two old men meant. After the Gu family fell, they could divide these things as they wanted. Anyway, they couldn't say anything. However, they didn't need to say it so clearly in front of everyone. Since Uncle Xiongfeng and Uncle Mouse said so, then other things will be easy to deal with. Li Dafu said with a smile. He asked Wang Kai to bring hundreds of reports and put them all in front of everyone. Chapter 2:10. I'll leave the Western Club to Sister Xie. It's closer to your company, so you should take some time to take a look. As he spoke, Li Dafu handed a report to Ouyang Xie. This strong woman gently nodded her head. If the Western Suburbs Club was properly managed, it wouldn't be a problem to earn 300 million a year. Who wouldn't want free money? Uncle Sun, I'll leave these hotels to your Sun family. You're good at this. Everyone's eyes widened. The Sun family, a second-rate family in the capital, actually got so much at once. However, Sun Quanfeng knew what was going on. He smiled and said that Ling Ling's dowry was settled. Everyone present was slick and smooth, so they naturally understood what was going on. Everything that happened today left a deep impression on the minds of all the family heads present. Wu Castle Guopai, the biggest winner of the auction a few days ago, the owner of Wu Castle Byaku, and the mastermind behind the destruction of the Gu family. Guopai naturally didn't know about this. He comforted Lin Shuang along the way. When they arrived at the Sun family, Lin Shuang had actually fallen asleep. Guopai had no choice but to carry Lin Shuang when he got out of the car. Sun Ling hurriedly let Guopai carry Lin Shuang to a tidied-up guest room. Guopai gave Lin Shuang another injection. Lin Shuang's business was done, so he walked out. Bad husband, Why aren't you nervous at all? Aren't you afraid that my grandfather and father will take care of you? You actually took advantage of me and brought another woman to my house. Humph. Sun Ling Ling whispered. What's there to be nervous about? I'm so outstanding. Father-in-law will definitely take a fancy to me at first glance. It'll definitely be easy to pass the old man's test. Guo Pai smiled and said, bringing another woman to the Sun family shows that I, Guo Pai, value relationships even more. Lin Shuang also has a child, which means that there's nothing wrong with my body. It's killing many birds with one stone. Ba ba ba, big bad guy, you're a stud horse. Sun Ling Ling couldn't help but say. Guo Pai fiercely pulled Sun Ling Ling into his arms, and Sun Ling Ling immediately lost her temper. Let go. Come with me. Grandpa and the others are waiting for us in the hall, Sun Ling Ling said with a slightly red face. The two of them walked side by side to the Sun family's guest hall. However, just as they reached the entrance, Guo Pai was amused by the scene in front of him. An old man was standing at the front, and behind him were Sun Ling Ling's father and third brother's uncle. Behind them were Sun Ling Ling's cousins. They were all standing at the entrance of the guest hall. Old man, I'm a little overwhelmed by your display of power. Can we talk inside? Guo Shuai acted as if he was chatting with an old friend. He smiled and said to the Sun family's head, Sun Quanfeng. Ha ha, all right. Let's talk inside. Little Wei, you juniors can go back. It's getting late. You should rest early, Sun Quanfeng said with a smile as he led Guo Pai into the house. Brother Wei, isn't that guy Ling Ling's boyfriend? What's his background? Why is Grandpa so polite to him? A young man from the Sun family whispered to Sun Wei, the leader of the third generation of the Sun family. Little Peng, he's the most popular person in the capital recently. He's the doctor from Wu Castle who made 8 billion in one day at the last auction. However, the Gu family's matter this time seems to have something to do with him, Sun Wei said softly. Sun Wei said softly. He had followed Sun Quanfeng to the auction last time, but he had only heard about the Gu family's matters. The rumors were very exaggerated. The old man only told him one sentence, which was that he must respect this young man and not be perfunctory. Call Brother Ting Fei tomorrow and ask him. He should know more than us, Sun Wei continued. However, just as he finished speaking, Sun Wei's phone rang. Brother Ting Fei, I was just thinking of calling you tomorrow. What's the matter? Sun Wei said with a smile. Xinyuan Tung Fei was the eldest brother of the younger generation of the families in the capital. Other than the Gu family and the families that were related to the Gu family, many people in the capital had a good relationship with Xinyuan Tung Fei. Is Brother Guo Pai in your house now? Xinyuan Tung Fei asked with a smile. When Guo Pai came out of the Gu family, several people in the Xinyuan family who secretly protected Guo Pai told Xinyuan Xiongfeng about Guo Pai's whereabouts. Originally, he thought that Guo Pai might come to his house. Later, he knew that he went to the Sun family. No wonder the Sun family got a lot of benefits from Li Dafu that night. It seemed that Li Dafu also knew about the relationship between Guo Pai and the Sun family. He and my cousin are at my house. They just arrived. Brother Ting Fei, I have something to ask you. What's the background of this Guo Pai? Brother Ting Fei, I have to trouble you to call him personally to ask. Sun Wei asked with a smile. Xiao Wei, you have a good relationship with a bad brother. You have a good cousin. This time, your Sun family took advantage of her. When you see him later, tell him that I have something urgent to talk to him about. Ask him to call me. Xinyuan Tung Fei said with a smile. Brother Tung Fei, it's not necessary. He's just a doctor in Wu Castle who made some money in the capital. It's not necessary for the young master of the Xinyuan family to be so concerned about him. Sun Wei still didn't believe that Guo Pai, who didn't look like a powerful person, had any ability. Xiao Wei, let me tell you, give up on your current idea. Don't ever offend Guo Pai. Otherwise, let alone you, even your Sun family will have to bear the consequences. The Gu family is an example. You should have heard about what happened to the Gu family. Let me tell you another inside story. The Gu family's downfall has nothing to do with the T-Rex group. Guo Pai is the real mastermind. After Xinyuan Tung Fei finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Sun Wei was covered in cold sweat. He had really underestimated this Guo Pai. If it wasn't for Xianyuan Tengfei's reminder, it was very likely that he would have made an unforgivable mistake. In the Sun family's living room, Sun Quanfeng and his 4 sons were sitting on the sofa. Guopai pulled a sandalwood stool and sat on it. He felt that a solid wood stool like this was more comfortable. Sun Lingling wanted to pour tea for everyone, but was stopped by Guopai. Sun Quanfeng glanced at his youngest son, Sun Qingsong, who stood up and poured tea for everyone. Guopai looked at Sun Quanfeng and enjoyed it very much. Guopai, little you, I heard from Lingling that you cured her illness a few days ago. I should have gone to Wu Castle to have a look and thank you properly. However, I haven't found the time. This time, when you come to the capital, you must stay at my humble home for a few days. Let me do my best as a host, Sun Quanfeng said with a smile. Since Lingling calls you Grandpa, I will call you Grandpa too. This time, I came to the capital to deal with some things. I think Grandpa already knows about it. After the things are done, the Gu family has to go to the Tyrannosaurus group in the next few days. I won't bother my father-in-law and uncles. Guopai said with a smile, you must know about the matter between Lingling and me. When Lingling graduates from high school, I will come to propose marriage. There is still a month left. This is the betrothal gift. Don't refuse it. Take it first. Guopai took out 3 white jade bottles that looked very ordinary and placed them on the table. Little bad, we are all family. There is no need for so many formalities. Take it. Sun Quanfeng said with a smile. He had received enough benefits that night. Once the industries that Li Dafu gave to the Sun family stabilized in less than half a year, the Sun family's strength would double. Just take it. 10 youth-retaining pill, 10 meridian-opening pills, and 100 snow muscle pills. If you don't want them, I think there are many people in the capital who want them. Ha! Guopai said with a smile. Sun Quanfeng and Sun Lingling's father opened their eyes wide. They went to the capital auction and felt the craziness of the pills. Now, Guopai actually gave so many pills to the Sun family. If outsiders knew about this, they would be envious to death. If they didn't accept them, the entire capital would call Sun Quanfeng an idiot. No wonder Xianyuan Xiongfeng dared to use the Gu family's Cloud Sky Harbor as his granddaughter's dowry. No one knew how many benefits there would be if they had a connection with this Guopai. Chapter 211. Little bad. Then I won't stand on ceremony with you. Anyway, we'll be a family in the future. Sun Quanfeng smiled and said, the Gu family is finished. Li Dafu gave the Sun family a lot of benefits. I think it's mostly because of Little Bad's face. Guopai smiled slightly. This Li Dafu was not bad. He was quite good at doing things. It seemed that it was not a coincidence that he could become the secretary of the municipal party committee. Accept the benefits. After we go back to Wu Castle, Grandpa can go to Wu Castle when he has time. The family matters should be handed over to the uncles. Your body is not as good as you think. Guopai said with a smile. Sun Quanfeng nodded gently. He wanted to give up power, but none of his children could make him feel completely at ease. His grandson Sun Wei was a good material, but he was too young. If he trained him for 2 more years, he should be able to support the Sun family. When the Sun family's business in the capital stabilizes, I'll go to Wu Castle to find Sun Lingling. At that time, Little Bad will be living and eating at your place. Sun Quanfeng said with a smile. His sons were happy. In fact, all aristocratic families were the same. The new generation replaced the old. Even if their father had always been the head of the family, it was inevitable that the sons would feel a little uncomfortable. Grandpa, if there's nothing else, I'll go and rest. I'm a little tired today. Guopai said with a smile. Sun Quanfeng nodded gently. Guopai pulled Sun Lingling out of the meeting room. He and his sons looked at the jade bottle on the table and felt endless emotions in their hearts. What's the use of having sons like you? You're not even as good as my granddaughter. With such a good husband, our Sun family is finally going to rise. Sun Quanfeng said with a sigh. His sons' faces were red. In the end, the second son, who was Sun Lingling's father, said softly that Sun Lingling was his daughter. He had done a good deed for the Sun family. Sun Quanfeng felt good about it. Go and contact the Xianyuan family and the Nangong family. I'll go to them tomorrow. Our Sun family can't afford to eat these things. Sun Quanfeng understand the principle of an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. Sun Quanfeng whispered to his eldest son. But a moment later, the two families' replies shocked Sun Quanfeng. Tell your father that if it's from Guo Pai, tell him to keep it well. It belongs to your Sun family. No one dares to take it. If he has time, tell your father to visit our Xianyuan family more often. Xianyuan Xiongfeng said with a smile on the phone. Sun Quanfeng had a good granddaughter. He had to let his granddaughter marry Guo Pai as soon as possible. Nangong Mao's reply to the Sun family was similar to that of the Xianyuan family. After hanging up the phone, Nangong Mao's called Nangong Lingma and asked about his well-being. If it wasn't for little Lingma's suggestion, the Nangong family would have been implicated this time. Dad, the Nangong family and the Xianyuan family's attitude is similar. They just want us to keep the things with peace of mind. Sun Delong said with a smile. Sun Quanfeng basically knew what was going on at this time. He hit his head hard. He still underestimated Guo Pai. You're awake. Are you hungry? I'll get you something to eat. Guo Pai and Sun Lingling walked to the room where Lin Shuang was resting. Lin Shuang had already woken up and was sitting on the bed in a daze. Bad guy, you can instinctively help the Lin family. Lin Shuang gritted her teeth and said softly, the Gu family is finished. The Lin family's business is not doing well. I know what's going on. Although I'm your woman, the Lin family was affiliated with the Gu family. Many people in the capital don't dare to interact with the Lin family. I hate the Lin family, but I don't want the Lin family to decline like this. I know what you mean. I told you that day. See who bullied my wife. I will avenge my wife, Guo Pai said softly. You and Lingling sit first. I'll get you something to eat. Then, 4 plates of delicious food were placed on the table. The 3 of them ate very comfortably. Bad husband, how many more secrets do you have? A doctor, a superpower user, a disciple of a hidden sect, and a womanizer. Sun Lingling looked at the sleeping Lin Shuang, carefully leaning on Guo Pao, and asked softly, would you believe me if I said that I used to be an immortal in heaven? Guo Pai said with a smile again, I don't believe you. If you were an immortal in heaven, you must have broken the laws of heaven and been sent down to the mortal realm. Sun Lingling pouted and said, could it be that you were sent down to the mortal realm because you peeked at Chong taking a bath? Ahem, little girl, you even know this. You really know how to guess. Guo Pai said with a trace of surprise. Bad guy, this is the Sun family. Today, elder sister will take you. Then, Sun Lingling actually took the initiative to push Guo Pai down. Guo Pai began to enjoy the most primitive passion. At 6 o'clock in the morning, Guo Pai woke up. He looked at the bed full of spring light and smiled slightly. He covered Sun Lingling, put on his clothes, and walked out of the room. Although the morning light couldn't be compared to the moonlight, it was still a good thing in the mortal realm for Guo Pai. He could only rely on the morning light and the moonlight to recover his immortal power. It was a pity that he didn't know when that trace of immortal power would disappear. If it disappeared, he probably wouldn't be as arrogant as he was now. Brother-in-law, I saw you yesterday and wanted to call you, but I was called away by the old man. Sunwei woke up before 5 o'clock today. He wandered in front of Guo Pai's house several times and finally saw the main character. Brother-in-law, what's the matter? Guo Pai said with a smile. The young master of the Sun family in front of him gave him a good feeling. He was very friendly. Brother Tengfei called you yesterday and asked you to call him back. He said that there's something. You can call him back when you want to. Sun Wei said with a smile. After dinner, I'll take brother-in-law around the capital. As he said that, he handed Guo Pai a phone. Guo Pai didn't stand on ceremony and reached out to take it. He directly dialed Xianyuan Tengfei's number. Brother Tengfei, what's so urgent? Guo Pai asked with a smile. It's nothing serious. It's about my wife, your second sister-in-law. I feel that her spirit hasn't been very good recently. I don't know what's going on. I've invited a few doctors in the capital, but they couldn't find anything wrong. I want you to take a look at her, Xianyuan Tengfei said softly. Xianyuan Tengfei's eldest wife was Shui Duo, and his second wife was Shui Xian. Xianyuan Tengfei was also a troublemaker. The two of them were pregnant together. Shui Duo's child was born, and Shui Xians was pregnant with another child. I have to go to Lin Shuang's house today. After I'm done with the Lin family, I'll go back to Yinhua Villa and take a look at her. Don't worry. As Guo Pai said that, he pinched his fingers and a familiar feeling entered his mind. Could it be that the Jade Emperor had gone crazy again and someone had been banished to the lower realm? Guo Pai didn't have time to think about it carefully, but he couldn't find any more information. Forget it. I'll go to Yinhua Villa after I'm done with my wife's family. Father, Shuang replied. This morning, Guo Pai will follow her to the Lin family. Shuang asked us to prepare, Lin Xingyun said with a hint of excitement. Prepare? Prepare for what? Your daughter is coming back pregnant before marriage. What's there to prepare for such an embarrassing thing? Lin Shuang's uncle Lin Xingyu said loudly. He and his other sons really didn't want Lin Shuang to go back to the Lin family. If she really did bring Guo Pai to the Lin family, their status in the Lin family would plummet. It was uncertain who the Lin family would belong to in the future. Get people to prepare for Shuang. Second brother, I'm warning you. I know what you're thinking. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. This Guo Pai is not simple. If you offend him, even the Lin family won't be able to protect you. The head of the Lin family, Lin Sanyuan, said loudly. Chapter 212. After a sumptuous breakfast and a night's rest, Lin Shuang's spirit was much better. However, Sun Lingling's spirit was also very good after a night of tormenting. Guo Xiao, on the other hand, was looking at the two of them with a mischievous smile, making everyone unable to figure out what he was thinking. Little bad, why don't you stay for a few more days? I'll let Xiao Wei and the others accompany you around. Sun Quan Feng said with a smile. He was very satisfied with this future son-in-law of his, who dared to say that they could compare to this young man in front of him. Old man, there will be plenty of time in the future. However, you should think about what I told you yesterday. Come to Wu Castle and find me as soon as possible. There's no such thing as endless money, only endless happiness. Your children and grandchildren will have their own happiness. Take some things easy, Guo Pai said with a smile, and pulled Lin Shuang into the car without looking back. He had already told Sun Lingling yesterday that she would not be allowed to follow them to the Lin family today. Dad, we'll be home in about half an hour. After Lin Shuang got into the car, she called Lin Xingyun again. Lin Xingyun told Lin Shuang that the house was ready and that she could just come. Guo Pai drove to the Lin family's house. Dad, Lin Shuang and Guo Pai will be here soon. Should we go to the door to welcome them? Lin Shuang's cousin Lin Li asked Lin Xingyu softly. Welcome what? They're the younger generation. Do you think the elders in Hua Xia will welcome the younger generation? Lin Xingyu said with a gloomy face. Shall we let them come? Let's do what we should do. Guo Pai is just a kid. I like to see what kind of trouble he can cause. Half an hour later, Guo Pai and Lin Shuang arrived at the Lin family's house. Lin Sanyuan stood at the door and looked at them with a smile. There were many members of the Lin family standing behind him. However, Guo Pai could tell that not everyone in the Lin family had such a good attitude like old Master Lin. Xiao Shuang, you've suffered outside all these years. It's all my fault. Come in. Lin Sanyuan smiled and said, Little guy, I saw you at our auction. You are indeed a talent. Come in, come in. Guo Pai nodded gently, and Lin Shuang and Lin Fan walked into the Lin family. You got pregnant before marriage and came back with a big belly. You even became the hero of the Lin family. The Lin family's face is completely lost because of you. Lin Li, Lin Shuang's cousin and the second son of Lin Xingyu, said softly. Guo Pao narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Li. Good, very good. Lin Xingyu, keep your son in check. Lin Sanyuan's face darkened. Everyone knew that Lin Li was known to be a fool in the Lin family. Therefore, whenever he did something overboard, he would just let it pass. However, he must have been instructed by Lin Xingyu to say such words at this critical moment. Dad, even my foolish son can see through this. Do you still need me to say anything? Shaoli said it well this time. Lin Xingyu took a step forward and said with a smile, You're with scoundrel, right? I'm Xiao Shuang's uncle. There's something I have to tell you. Xiao Shuang is pregnant out of wedlock. You have to figure out whether the child is yours or not. Don't be cuckolded without even knowing it. Lin Shuang heard Lin Xingyu's words, and her whole body trembled. She knew that her father and uncle didn't get along well, but she didn't expect her uncle to be so overboard this time. He actually said such words to her face when she came home. "Thank you for your reminder, uncle. However, I suggest that you do a paternity test with that smart son of yours. You are so stupid, it's impossible for you to have such a child. Don't raise someone else's dog and make your pig thin," Guo Pai said with narrowed eyes. Lin Xingyu's face darkened immediately. "Brother, what do you mean by raising someone else's dog and making my pig thin?" Lin Li asked softly. Lin Xingyu slapped Lin Li's face and shouted at him to get lost. Lin Li ran away as if he was escaping. Guo Pai laughed and walked into the Lin family's house with Lin Shuang in his arms. Lin Sanyuan stared at Lin Xingyu, who still wanted to say something. Lin Xingyu didn't dare to say anything. "Brother Fei, that Guo Pai just scolded our uncle until he couldn't say anything." "Haha, that felt so good," a young man said to another young man with a smile. "This Guo Pai is not simple. Did you feel it today? Your karaoke halls aren't doing well, right? I got some news from Yinhua Club. If he doesn't say anything, your karaoke halls and my underground dogfighting ring can close down," Lin Fei said softly. "What a powerful background." Then, big uncle. Before the young man could finish his sentence, Lin Fei pulled him aside. It would be better if Lin Xingyu was done for. Although their family's relationship with their uncle's family was average, if their uncle was done for, their family would be able to get a bigger share of the profits. "I'm Shuang Er's grandfather, Lin Sanyuan. This old man is taking advantage of you. I'll call you Little Bad," Lin Sanyuan said with a smile. Lin Sanyuan said with a smile. Guo Pao nodded lightly. Although this old man before him was quite scheming, he didn't seem to be too bad. Aside from the matter of Lin Shuang and Gu Lai being betrothed when they were children, he was still a decent patriarch. "Little Bad, you're really generous. You became famous at the auction and then brought down the Gu family. You're really a young hero," Lin Sanyuan said with a smile. "Old man, you must be joking. I fell in love with Shuang as soon as I saw her at Wu Castle. When I heard that she was engaged to the Gu family, I wanted to talk to them about it. I didn't expect them to kidnap Lin Shuang and my little wife before I even went. This is a slap in the face. Although I have a good temper, I can't let them bully me like this." Speaking of which, the Gu family brought this upon themselves, Guo Pai said with a smile. Although he said it very simply, everyone in front of him was stunned. The Gu family was the head of the three major families in Beijing. Gu Gulei was the leader of Huaxia's special ability group. The Gu family had great influence in the entire Huaxia, not to mention finding trouble with the Gu family. Even if the Gu family bullied them, they could only endure it. Unlike this great god in front of them, who had a good temper, could not tolerate it and brought down the Gu family. "Little Bad, I won't beat around the bush. Our Lin family used to be very close to the Gu family. Now that the Gu family has fallen, some business matters have become a little difficult," Lin Sanyuan said softly. "Old man, what do you want me to do?" Guo Pai naturally knew what to do, but it was better for the Lin family to say it. "I heard that, Little Bad. You are very close to the Xinyuan family. Now, some of the Gu family's businesses are in the hands of the Xinyuan family. I was wondering if you could help me talk to the Xinyuan family," Lin Sanyuan said with a hint of helplessness. "This is a small matter. I will take care of the Xinyuan family," Guo said with a mischievous smile. "There's something I have to tell the old man. The child in Shuang Er's belly is almost 3 months old. I want to hold a wedding in the imperial capital and openly take her to our Guo family. Little Bad, leave this matter to me. I guarantee that it will be done grandly," Lin Sanyuan said hurriedly. "I just want to tell the old man so that you can be mentally prepared. When the time comes, you can attend the wedding as her family," Guo Pai said with a smile and dialed Xinyuan Tingfei's number. This small matter did not require him to contact Xinyuan Xiongfeng. "Bad brother, I thought it was something big. I will take care of this matter for you. Quickly come to Yinhua Villa. Your sister-in-law's condition is really not very good recently," Xinyuan Tengfei said with a hint of anxiety on the other end of the phone. "I will be back the day after tomorrow at the latest. Don't worry. I just calculated that sister-in-law is fine. Guo Pai said with a smile. Chapter 2:13. Xinyuan Tengfei still wanted to say something, but Guo Pai didn't give him the chance and directly hung up the phone. Grandpa, Guo Pai just called. He's at the Lin family. Xinyuan Tengfei walked to Xinyuan Xiongfeng's residence and said with a smile. What do you mean? Xinyuan Xiongfeng asked with a smile. Ever since the old man had entered the Hotian realm, it seemed as if he had become obsessed with martial arts. Therefore, the younger generation of the Xinyuan family had no choice but to work hard. Think about it. If the old man progressed faster than the younger generation, then wouldn't the old man use this matter as an excuse in the future? The Lin family used to be very close to the Gu family. Recently, all the families in the capital have been treating them well. Some of our previous cooperation with them have also been terminated. Little Bad wants to let them go. Xinyuan Tengfei said with a smile. If it were him, he would definitely come forward. No matter what his wife's family did in the past, they were still her family. Our cooperation with the Lin family will continue. Inform the Nangong family. Now the Gu family is finished. Although we haven't settled the matter with the Nangong family, since Nangong Mao's granddaughter has a good relationship with Little Bad, we'll put aside the grudges between us and the Nangong family for now. However, if the Nangong family dares to send people to invade us, we don't have to give face to anyone. Xinyuan Xiongfeng finished speaking and entered meditation again. Xinyuan Tengfei was very efficient. He had to be. Shui Duo's condition was not good recently. Xinyuan Tengfei was so busy that he was in a terrible state. The only thing he wanted to do now was to do whatever Guo Xiao wanted him to do. That way, he could quickly come to the Xinyuan family to take a look at his wife. Tengfei, tell your grandpa that the Nangong family will remember this matter and thank him. Nangong Mouse said softly on the phone, there are still some people from the Nangong family in Yanhua Villa. If they are alive, please let them out. If they are dead, then let them be. Nangong Mouse had not received any information from the Nangong family spies in the Xinyuan family for several days. Xinyuan Tengfei didn't explain much. After a few words of greetings, he hung up the phone and called his father-in-law. The Shui family and Lin family had some business dealings. If his father-in-law did something wrong, then it would be troublesome. Shui-en-hua received a call from his son-in-law. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart that his son-in-law was much better than his sons. At least he knew how to do things. Then he communicated with a few families that had a good relationship with the Shui family. They were all experts in business and were all smooth and slick. Although Shui-en-hua didn't say explicitly, the few old guys thanked Shui-en-hua and resumed business with the Lin family. Guo Pai sat in the living room of the Lin family, drinking tea. People from the Lin family kept coming into the living room and talking to Lin Sanyuan happily. Guo Pai naturally knew what was going on. Xinyuan Tengfei's efficiency was not slow. Dad, good news. The Shi family's cooperation with us has restarted. You don't have to look at this kid's face anymore. Also, this girl is pregnant before marriage. According to the family rules, she should be expelled from the Lin family and never be allowed to come back. Lin Xingyu ran into the room and said loudly. Guo Pai narrowed his eyes and looked at the excited Lin Xingyu. Lin Li was really his son. He was so stupid. Scram, scram. Lin Sanyuan was so angry that he couldn't speak. He shouted loudly. How could he have such a son? Shuang is the Shi family that your stupid uncle is talking about sister Shi Yuqian's family? Guo Pai didn't care about Lin Xingyu, who was shouting in the living room. He smiled and asked Lin Shuang, is the Shi family that your stupid uncle is talking about the Shi family of sister Shi Yuqian? I've been to martial arts arena all these years, so I don't know much about the Lin family's business. But if there's a Shi family in the capital, it should be the Yuqian's family, Lin Shuang said softly. Guo Pai smiled slightly. He dialed the phone and said, Sister Shi, there are all kinds of birds in the forest. You can't just accept any business. You should tell your grandfather about it. Shi Yuqian felt that something was wrong. She quickly told her grandfather what Lin Xingyu said. Grandfather Shi immediately understood what Lin Xingyu meant. They had just resumed cooperation with the Lin family, and now Guo Pai had called. He would be an idiot if he didn't know what Lin Xingyu meant. Terminate all cooperation with the Lin family. Yes, do it immediately. Tell the Lin family to take care of themselves. Grandfather Sure said loudly to his subordinates. What? Okay. Thank you, Brother Sure. I'll tell my subordinates to terminate all cooperation with the Lin family immediately. It was similar to what happened just now. Just now, they agreed to resume their relationship with the Lin family, but now they wanted to draw a line between them and the Lin family. Dad, the Sure family went back on their word. They have already terminated all cooperation with us. Lin Li, Lin Xingyu's youngest son, looked a little different from Lin Xingyu. Go back on their word? How can they go back on their word? Lin Xingyu squatted on the ground. Lin Sanyuan narrowed his eyes and looked at his disappointing son. Why do they go back on their word? Guopai only made a phone call just now. He didn't expect the Sure family to change their attitude so quickly. Little bad, look. Lin Sanyuan looked at Guopai and didn't know what to say. Guopai hugged Lin Shuang with one hand and placed the other on Lin Shuang's belly. He could feel that this was his first child in the human world. It was a girl. He had already made plans in his heart. He started to cultivate in the womb. He had already started to think about what kind of pills to make for his child. Uncle, the Zhao family was doing well at first. But just now, President Zhao called and said that the cooperation with the Lin family has been canceled. Master, I don't know why, but Feng Zheng just called and said that he drank too much just now. The cooperation doesn't count. Dad, the Nangong family sent a letter. The cooperation has been canceled. They want me to tell you that the evils you bring upon yourself are the hardest to bear. Lin Shuang's father picked up a phone call and said with a heavy expression, Men, drag Lin Xingyu out. Give him $100,000. Lin Xingyu is no longer a member of the Lin family. Lin Sanyuan couldn't hold it in anymore and said loudly, Dad, you are my dad. How can you treat me like this? Lin Xingyu said loudly, Dad, don't worry. I'll follow you whether you have money or not. Didn't Grandpa give you $100,000? That's enough to buy a lot of food. Lin Li looked at Lin Xingyu, who was sitting on the ground, and said, Idiot. You are a F***king idiot. Lin Xingyu slapped Lin Li's head and said loudly, What about me? Annie said that you are the idiot. Little brother is not your son. You should treat him like your father every day. Lin Li looked at Lin Li and said softly. Lin Xingyu fainted after hearing that. Lin Li was indeed not his son. Chapter 214. Little Bad, I'm begging you. Please inform the Xianyuan family again. Otherwise, the Lin family will be finished. Lin Sanyuan didn't care about his reputation anymore. Guopai looked at Lin Shuang. Lin Shuang nodded gently. At this time, the phone rang. Brother, what are you doing? Once you change your mind, half of the capital will follow you. Xianyuan Tengfei said loudly on the other side of the phone. It's okay. Ask Elder Xiongfeng to contact the Nangong family. The Lin family's business can be done as it should be, Guopai said with a smile. Brother, you are now the most troublesome person in the capital. Xianyuan Tengfei hung up the phone. In less than 10 minutes, the same people ran to the living room for the third time. This time, they were happy, but they weren't as excited as they were the first time. After being troubled 3 times in a row, they were a little scared. Pass down the order. Communicate with the other families in the capital. I don't want any more mistakes, Lin Sanyuan said loudly. The juniors nodded. The 8th of next month is a good day. I will hold a wedding with Shuang in the capital. The venue is temporarily set at the Gu family's old zhang. You can come when the time comes. I won't send you a separate invitation. You know how the Lin family has treated my wife all these years. I don't want to make Shuang feel uncomfortable, so I won't come to the Lin family to pick her up. As for who will be the bride's family, I think Leader Xia of the T-Rex group should have no problem. After saying that, Guopao pulled Lin Shuang and walked out of the Lin residence under the shocked gazes of everyone. At this time, the Lin family knew that everything that Guopao gave to the Lin family was because of Lin Shuang's face. This face was only so much. Wife, are you angry with me for doing this? Guopai asked softly after getting in the car. My stomach is already big. What else can I do? Lin Shuang said mischievously. Guopai smiled. Lin Shuang's problem was finally solved. On the 8th day of the next month, there was still about a month to go. Today, he would finish his work in the capital and return to Wu Castle. His wives were all in Wu Castle. He could not stay in the capital all the time. Hubby, you promised Xin Yuan Tingfei that you would treat his wife after you're done with your work. Let's go to Yunhua Villa first. Lin Shuang said softly. She would never have dreamed that she would really be together with this young man who was 8 years younger than her. In less than a month, she would become his bride. Then let's go to Yunhua Villa first, Guo Pai said with a smile and drove towards Yunhua Villa. After 3 days of divination, Xin Yuan Tingfei's wife was actually deceived by someone. Guo Pai could not help but smile. Could it be that the Jade Emperor was banished to the mortal world? Just as Guo Bao was thinking about this, there was a muffled thunder in the sky, causing Guo Bao to shrink his head back. Are you kidding me? You can't be like this, right? Could it be that you big shots in the sky are treating me like a dish? Aha, this mind-reading perfected monarch is really interesting. Even I want to go to the mortal world to have a look. Moonlight, the most beautiful woman in the world, laughed without any restraint. She had just eaten a meal of bear paws, which made her in a good mood. Wu Gang, who was still gorging himself, looked at Chang Yi in a cute manner. Could it be that this big sister has gone crazy? Bang! Wu Gang, who had just put a piece of oily bear paw into his mouth, flew back 1,000 meters. Because of her thoughts just now, Chang Yi was not polite to this big guy at all. You can eat and drink my food under the moonlight. You can still see a beauty like me every day. How dare you slander me in your heart? You deserve a beating. Chang! He looked at Wu Gang, who was flying far away, and said. She could not help but laugh again. In the heavenly court, the Jade Emperor had nothing to do. Some time ago, the aura of a great demon appeared in the mortal world, which gave him a fright. However, this mind-reading sage who was banished to the mortal world by him was not bad. Although he did not leave the great demon behind, at least he did not put people in a terrible situation. Therefore, the Jade Emperor wanted to see what this mind-reading sage was doing. He did not expect that he would discover what he was thinking as soon as he found him. The Jade Emperor was banished to the mortal world. Presumptuous, too presumptuous. Guo Pai drove the car leisurely to Yinhua Mountain Villa. Guo Pai was now considered a celebrity in the imperial capital. The Xinyuan family even trained all the people in Yinhua Mountain Villa during the days when Guo Pai was away. They had to remember what Guo Pai looked like. They even knew what Sun Lingling and Lin Shuang looked like. They also knew what those women in Wu Castle who were related to Guo Pai looked like. The Xinyuan family also knew what to do when they saw Guo Pai. Third brother, look, is that the bad master's car? Why do I feel like there's a bad master in the car? When the guards of Yinhua Mountain Villa saw a military pickup truck driving over, they immediately let it pass without saying anything. The two of them stood straight. Even the old chief of the army did not stand so straight. Guo Pai looked at the changes in the guards and the people who came to greet him. He smiled slightly. This Xianyuan Xiongfeng was really considerate. Xianyuan Tengfei drove an electric scooter and blocked the front of Guo Pai's car. He said anxiously, "Brother, you're finally here. Let's go and see my wife. She's been eating a lot more than before, but she's still not energetic. I don't know what's wrong with her. Shuang, go to my place and rest first. I'll go and see her with Brother Tingfei," Guo Pai said to Lin Shuang with a smile. Xinyuan Tengfei directly asked a few servants to drive Lin Shuang to the courtyard where Guo Pai stayed when he first arrived at Yinhua Mountain Villa. He especially instructed a few servants to serve the young mistress of the Guo family well. Guo Pai sat in Xinyuan Tengfei's electric scooter. He did not expect that an electric scooter could be driven so smoothly. In about 3 minutes, Guo Pai followed Xinyuan Tengfei to Xinyuan Tengfei's courtyard. A misty aura shrouded the entire courtyard, causing him to frown. When he first arrived at Yinhua Mountain Villa, he took Shui Xian's pulse and knew that she was pregnant with twins. Other than that, there was nothing unusual. However, what was there to hide from the heavens about twins? Guo Pai did not understand and followed Xinyuan Tengfei into the house. "All right, Mayor, go and get me something to eat. I feel that I'm still very hungry," Shui Xian, who had a big belly, whispered to Hume. Cousin, this is already the 5th bowl. You can't eat anymore. You've already eaten 4 braised pork trotters. You should rest first. I'll get you some water to drink. Hume looked at Shwe Xian with a hint of resentment in her eyes and quickly ran out of the room. This cousin of hers had been eating more and more since 3 days ago. It was too scary. Brother-in-law, you're finally here. Cousin still wants to eat. I didn't let her. As soon as Hume walked out of the room, she saw Xianyuan Tingfei at a glance. It was as if she had found her savior. Then, she saw Guo Pai behind Xianyuan Tingfei, and her small face flushed red. Qian, Mayor, tell Grandpa the truth. What do you think of that, Guo Pai? After Guo Pai left the Xianyuan family, Xianyuan Xiongfeng called his granddaughters to his attic. What do you mean? What do you think? Grandpa, what are you talking about? Hume said with a slightly red face. She couldn't help but blush when she thought of that day when Guo Pai hugged her in Qian. Cousin, why are you so stupid? Grandpa means that if you think that big bad guy is not bad, then we can marry him together, Xianyuan Qian said loudly. Xianyuan Qian said loudly. Xianyuan Xiongfeng's face was filled with black lines. He knew that his granddaughter was very valiant, but her words were too direct. She had answered so many questions in one sentence. Xianyuan Xiongfeng felt that Guo Xiao was a good man. She could accept marrying Guo Xiao, and she could also accept marrying Guo Xiao together with her cousin. Chapter 215. Grandpa, is that what you mean? Say something. Why are you coughing? Xianyuan Qian pouted. Xianyuan Xiongfeng nodded helplessly. Hume's face turned even redder. Although she knew that it was normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines in a family like the Xianyuan family, she still felt a little awkward when it happened to her. Little Mayer, I won't force you on this matter. If you don't agree, I will think of a way to let Qian marry Guo Pai alone. For the future development of the Xianyuan family, it doesn't matter if this matter is a little immoral or not. This matter has to be done. Xianyuan Xiongfeng said softly. Who said I don't agree? I agree. Hume looked at Xianyuan Xiongfeng and shouted anxiously. Ha. If you agree, then it will be easy. Ha. Xianyuan Xiongfeng laughed and walked out of the loft, leaving behind Hume and Xianyuan Qian, who were at a loss. Brother, is X an arrow right? Guo Pai took Shwe Xian's pulse for nearly 10 minutes, and his expression changed more than 10 times, making Xianyuan Tingfei a little nervous. Not gold, not wood, not water, not fire, not earth. Strange, really strange. Guo Pai muttered to himself, making Xianyuan Tingfei nervous. Brother, what do you mean? Xianyuan Tingfei asked softly. Guo Pai closed his eyes and placed his hand on Shwe Xian's wrist again, making Xianyuan Tingfei even more nervous. I want to see who is playing tricks with this young master, Guo Pai said in his heart. A trace of immortal energy was injected into Shwe Xian's body, and it rushed through Shwe Xian's meridians to the child in her stomach. This is impossible, Guo Pai exclaimed in his heart. His trace of immortal energy had just entered the fetus in her stomach, and it was directly absorbed by the boy in her stomach. Guo Pai didn't give up and released another strand of celestial power. Damn, let's see who this kid is. I didn't even put in so much effort when dealing with that demon from the Gu family. Lord Tai Bai Jinxing, thank you for your immortal power. I thought that I would need to spend some effort to find you. I didn't expect to meet you in my mother's womb. The moment the second strand of immortal energy reached the child, Guo Pai could clearly feel that the child actually moved slightly. Then, a voice was transmitted through the strand of immortal energy. F***CK, it can't be, right? Who in the heavenly court has been banished to the lower realms? Guo Pai exclaimed in his heart. Following that, he injected his immortal energy into Shwe's body. I wonder which immortal descended to the lower realm. Could it be that he knows my previous self? Who else could it be if it's not in the 5 elements? It's only been a few days. Have you forgotten about me? Back then, when Star-Lord descended to the lower realm, I went to send you off. The fetus communicated with Guo Pai through immortal power, not in the 5 elements. You're the 3rd prince? Guopai immediately reacted and his entire body trembled. Could it be that the child in Shui Xian's womb is the reincarnation of the third prince? This is too unbelievable. Haha, I said that it's impossible for Star-Lord not to guess. Thank you for your immortal power that allowed me to awaken my consciousness in advance. However, I'll just obediently stay in my mother's womb. This feeling isn't bad. The fetus in Shui Xian's womb transmitted. Guopai's expression became more and more excited. However, in Xinyuan Tingfei's eyes, he was really afraid. Could it be that there's something wrong with the child in his wife's womb? Third prince, you have the protection of Heavenly King Li. I wonder what crime you committed to be banished to the lower realm. Could it be that you peeked at the Queen Mother? Guopai asked with a smile. Star-Lord, I don't have your ability. Brother, you should know better than me why I came to the lower realm. Neza replied with a smile. The two of them chatted for more than 10 minutes. Guopai basically understood why Neza came to the lower realm. 2 days ago, the aura of the great demon appeared in the Gu family. The heavenly court immediately received the news. Then, they discovered that the great demon of the lower realm was relatively close to the third prince's lower realm dojo. It should be that the suppression seal of the third prince's dojo was accidentally broken by someone, causing the great demon to be released. However, the third prince's luck wasn't as good as Guopai's. He originally wanted to find a corpse to reincarnate, but in the end, he didn't find a decent corpse in 3 days. In the end, he thought about what true Lord Erlang said when he came to the lower realm. He could go find a true Lord Mind Reader. He was doing well in the lower realm. He directly followed the true Lord Mind Reader's aura to the imperial capital. The third prince didn't have much time left. He directly reincarnated into Shui Xian's body. Every encounter was so magical. Lord Taibai jinxing, I don't want your little bit of immortal energy. It's not enough for your own use. Now that I can't come out for a while, you should get some tonic for my mother of the lower realm. Otherwise, the things she eats won't be able to satisfy my needs. Also good wine. Give me some good wine too, Neza said with a smile. Guopai's face darkened. If it was just some tonic for Shui Xian, it would be fine. Have you ever seen a pregnant woman drink wine? However, when Guopai wanted to communicate with the third prince, the brat directly shut off his divine sense. No matter how much immortal energy Guopai injected into the third prince didn't react at all. Damn it, I'm in trouble again. This brat went to the lower realm. It seems like he won't be able to return for a while. My good days haven't started yet. I'm going to be busy again. Guopai thought to himself, helplessly. I have to go back to Wu Castle and think of a way to get some good Chinese medicine. Otherwise, little Neza will stay in Shui Xian's stomach for 3 years like before. That would be a big problem. Seeing Guopai open his eyes, Xinyuan Tingfei and Shui Xian both took a deep breath. Bad brother, is the child in my stomach okay? Shui Xian asked softly. She had heard about Guopai's medical skills from her sister. It was amazing, but Guopai's expression just now made her feel a little scared. Yes, brother. If you have something to say, just say it. We can handle it. Xinyuan Tingfei said nervously. What do you mean by you can handle it? Brother, I'm Wu Xiao. I'm already in the Xiantian realm. In the future, don't rest in this room. Your aura is affecting the child. No wonder sister-in-law ate so much. Guopai thought for a long time and came up with such an excuse. Shui Xian glared at Xinyuan Tingfei fiercely. So it was her husband's fault after all. Xinyuan Tingfei's face flushed red. Shui Duo had 2 children, and there was a nanny watching over them. If he spoke too loudly, Shui Duo would give him a beating. His status would plummet. Now, he was in trouble again before the child in Shui Xian's stomach was born. Brother, is there any way to treat it? Xinyuan Tingfei asked softly. How can I treat it? It's already affected. I'll go back to the capital in 2 days. The child will be born in about a month. I'll go and get some good quality Chinese medicine for sister-in-law to eat. When the child is born, I'll deliver it. Guopai said with a smile. Don't drink the thing in this gourd. It's for sister-in-law. Don't ask what it is. Guopai handed a wine gourd to Shui Xian. Shui Xian reached out and took it. She glared at Xinyuan Tingfei again. Bad brother. It seems to be wine. Shui Exine opened the gourd and asked softly. Chapter 216. Ahem, tonic wine, tonic wine. Don't worry, just drink it. There won't be any problem. If the baby in your belly kicks you, give him some to drink, and he will be more obedient. Guopai coughed a few times and said. Shui Exine was confused, and Xin Yuan Tingfei was speechless. If he drank too much, he would fall asleep. How could he not be obedient? Then Guopai gave Shui Exine a few more needles to open her meridians. The more Najah thought about it, the more interesting it became. After that, Guopai asked Xin Yuan Tingfei to find a dozen good jade and set a tactical array in Shui Exine's room. Suddenly, the air in the room became much clearer. Brother, I have more jade. You can go to Duo's place and get some. After you put down these jade, you will feel more comfortable in this room. Xin Yuan Tingfei said with a smile. Just follow the way I did just now. Didn't you follow me the whole time I was arranging the jades? Guopai said with a smile. After Xin Yuan Tingfei sent Guopai to his residence, he ran to Shui Duo's place and said that he would improve the environment for Shui Duo. As a result, he was scolded with a red face. Bad brother, this is how you put it. The position is right. This room is exactly the same as Exine's room. I remember it right. How can it be ineffective? After being driven out, Xin Yuan Tingfei said to himself, how could he know that Guopai didn't put down any jade according to the Tao of Heaven? That was the Tao, and ordinary people couldn't do it. After figuring out the baby in Shui Exine's belly, Guopai suddenly felt that his life in this world was going to be busy again. He had promised Emo that he would go back with her to deal with the 13 needles of Ghostgate after he was done with his business in the capital. There were still more than 100 people in the Violent Dragon group waiting for the elixir. Now that little Neza had interfered, he had to prepare for his wedding with Lin Shuang next month and open for business in Bugyaku in the capital. After thinking for a while, Guopai felt that his head was about to explode. He had to solve all the problems one by one. He would first go back to Wu Castle. Before going back, he had to visit the Violent Dragon group. All right, he had promised little Ling Mo that he would visit the Nangong family. The next morning, Guopai didn't wake up Lin Shuang, who was sleeping soundly. Of course, he didn't stay idle at night either. Xin Yuan Xiongfeng asked him to rest at Hu Meier's place. Although he refused verbally, he went out for 2 hours in the second half of the night. As for what he did specifically, Guopai was in good spirits in the morning. Brother, I've arranged the jades according to what you said, but it didn't have any effect. Early in the morning, Xin Yuan Tingfei's condition wasn't good. He was chased out of Shui Duo's place, and then went to Shui Exine's place, only to be refused the door. Helpless, he found a guest room and stayed for the night. When he woke up early in the morning, he saw Guopai, who was full of energy. How could it be? There must be a mistake somewhere. I don't have time to tell you today. In a while, I'll drive your car to the Nangong family. That military jeep is a bit too eye-catching, Guopai said with a smile. Thinking about the word dragon on the jeep, anyone in the capital who knew a little about it would understand what it meant. Who in the capital would dare to put the word dragon on their car plate? Other than the T-Rex group, who else could it be? Xin Yuan Tingfei looked at Guopai driving his Bugatti. Could it be that my car is not eye-catching? Xin Yuan Tingfei thought in his heart. He drove the military jeep around Yinhua Villa a few times. Brat, what's wrong with you? If there's nothing, take me out for a walk. Xin Yuan Xiongfeng woke up early in the morning and saw the military jeep driving around Yinhua Villa. He thought it was Guopai, so he didn't care. Who knew that when he saw that it was his grandson, he immediately became angry. Guopai said that he wanted to open a Bugyaku in the capital, so he asked Xin Yuan Tingfei to take him to the pharmacy. Then, Xin Yuan Xiongfeng asked Xin Yuan Tingfei to drive him to the largest Chinese herbal medicine market in the capital. There was a GPS in the car, so it was easy to find the Nangong family. It wasn't far from Yinhua Villa. Although it wasn't as grand as Yinhua Villa, it was a villa of tens of thousands of square meters. Guopai was still shocked. Bad master, you must be bad master. Please wait, I'll open the door for you. When they arrived at the door, a smart young man opened the door for Guopai. Then, he drove the electric scooter and took Guopai to Nangong Mouse residence. "Grandpa, the bad master is here. The bad master is here." The young man was so excited that he shouted a few times before he got out of the car. Then, the electric scooter hit the flower pot at the door, and a flower pot was smashed into pieces. "Nangong fan, what bad master are you talking about? You broke my flower pot again. It seems that I've wronged you by making you a guard. Recently, Southwest City is short of manpower. You can go there in a few days." Nangong Mouse didn't even open his eyes in the morning when he heard the sound of the flower pot being smashed. He listened to who was calling him. If it wasn't the disappointing son of his fourth wife, who else could it be? However, in the blink of an eye, Xinyuan Mouse's anger disappeared. Guopai really came. Nangong fan did a good job today. It seemed that this kid really understood what he said a few days ago. It was better to let him stay in the imperial capital. The Nangong family was the same as the Xinyuan family. After Guopai left the Gu family, they had gathered everyone in the family to look at Guopai's photo and the information of people related to Guopai. They had to be able to recognize Guopai immediately when he came and invite him in. "Lil fan, go and find someone to clean up this place. After you're done, go and find your second uncle. See if there's any shortage of manpower in the imperial capital. Stay in the imperial capital for now." Nangong Mouse said with a smile. "Guopai, little you, I heard from little Lingma that you were coming the day before yesterday. Please come in, come in." Nangong fan was stunned. Was that old man still his grandfather? Didn't he ask me to go to Southwest City? Why did he change his mind in the blink of an eye? Look for second uncle. Yes, since he asked me to look for second uncle, I'll go quickly so that he won't change his mind again. As he thought about it, Nangong fan drove the electric scooter and rushed forward. Another 7 or 8 flower pots fell from the table and broke into pieces. He ran away without looking back. When Nangong Mouse heard that the flower pots were broken again, he felt a pain in his heart. Then he smiled and said to Guopai, My little grandson, he's a little impatient. Little Lingma is very good, but I don't know why your Nangong family would choose her to participate in the International Esper Martial Arts Competition. Do you have some agreement with Gu Gulei from the Gu family?" Guopai asked directly. Although little Lingma was young, Guopai liked this little girl very much. "Little you, now that the Gu family is finished, there are some things that I can tell you," Nangong Mouse said with a hint of helplessness. "Every family has its own difficulties. Everyone knows that there are 3 big families in the capital: the Gu family, the Nangong family, and the Xinyuan family. The 3 heads of the 3 families are very impressive, but who knows how difficult it is to be the head of a family?" Guopai nodded gently. Before he ascended, the Chun family had been going smoothly under his leadership. However, being the head of a family was indeed not an easy job. Gu Gulei is the head of the special ability group. Many people in the Gu family have awakened their special abilities. This is why the Gu family became the head of the capital in less than 1,000 years. Nangong Mouse said the Xinyuan family also had a special ability user in the past. However, it seems that every time a special ability user appeared in the Xinyuan family, there would be a big riot in the family. It's the same for the Nangong family. Little Lingma is the only special ability user in the Nangong family in the past 60 years. "Are you afraid that the Nangong family will be in turmoil?" Guopai asked softly. "I'm not afraid. It's because on the first day that little Lingma's special ability awakened, I received a message from Gu Gulei. If the Nangong family doesn't fall, little Lingma has to join the special ability group and participate in a martial arts competition. I'm very selfish. I can't watch anything happen to the Nangong family in my hands," Nangong Mouse said softly. "I see." Chapter 217. I see. It seems that I have messed up the Gu family's game of chess. Haha, Guopai said with a smile. In fact, only he knew everything. Gu family? The Gu family was just a chess piece of the Great Demon. This time, they messed up the Great Demon's deployment in the human world. They must have done a lot of good deeds. When Guopai left the Nangong family, he left some medicinal pills for Nangong Mouse. Anyway, little Ling Mo liked it very much. It could be considered a dowry. When the time came, he would not take the little girl into his harem. It was not bad to get a girl to warm his bed. Nangong Mouse was excited. Naturally, he did not see through Guopai's thoughts. Lin Shuang and I will get married on the 8th of next month. It will be at the Gu family's mansion. When the time comes, you can go and take a look. After saying that, Guopai walked out of Nangong Mouse's courtyard with a smile. Nangong Fan was helping to arrange the flower pot. When he saw Guopai coming out, he was so excited that the flower pot in his hand broke into pieces. However, Nangong Mouse, who came out later, smiled and said, "Why aren't you sending off bad guy?" Nangong Fan's eyes widened. Time was tight and the task was important. Guopai did not stay in the Nangong family for long. He called Niuming and knew that he was in the 531 army. He drove directly to the 531 army and prepared to go to the Dragon King to talk about taking Lin Shuang as his adopted daughter. His wife was the marriage arranged by the Lin family. Although the Gu family was finished, he could not let the people in the capital see his wife as a joke. He had to find a big backer. No matter how he thought about it, Xiao Wudi was a good choice. Chairman, that Guopai is indeed the grandson of Guan Notwen. He is young and has outstanding medical skills. He should be a disciple of a hidden sect. However, we did not find out about this matter. Li Dafu received a call from the first vice president of Huaxia and whispered that the Gu family was finished. The impact was not only in the capital, but also in the entire Huaxia. Although Li Dafu handed over the Gu family's business to other families in the capital, the higher-ups still knew about it. Dafu, now that Gu Gulei is dead, you have to find a suitable replacement for the special abilities group as soon as possible. Don't let anything go wrong. As for this Guopai, maintain a good relationship with him. Also, see if you can get a few of those pills that have been circulating in the capital. It's the boss's idea. Su Xinren, the first vice president of Huaxia, said softly. Li Dafu hurriedly nodded over the phone. I'll do it as soon as possible. Guopai naturally didn't know about this. It was already 5:31, lunchtime. Before lunch started, he saw a group of people in a large circle on the field. Several burly men were in the middle of a fight. "Hey, Sean, we're not playing with you. Go find a Tai or Zhuzi. By the way, Brother Mengzi is also in the barracks. Go find them and fight with us. Isn't that bullying?" Heishan had just stood in the middle of the field when a burly man shouted at him. Heishan scratched his head innocently. He had been fighting with the Tai and Zhuzi every day. The three of them were all Xiantian masters, but they didn't improve much. On the contrary, they didn't know how to train anymore. "Big brother Heishan, are you lonely because you can't find an opponent? Why don't we spar? I'll only use the strength of an early Xiantian master to spar with you," Guopai said loudly after getting out of the car. Heishan excitedly greeted Guopai and then pulled Guopai into the large circle on the field. "Heishan, is this little brother also a Xiantian master?" A soldier in the crowd asked loudly. "Dejun, if you don't believe me, you can come and try. But if you're crippled, big brother won't be responsible, haha." Heishan laughed and said, "In a while, you'll know what realm this little brother is in. Bad brother, show some mercy. There are so many people watching, leave me some face. It's a life and death battle, but I'll be careful. I won't take your life. Don't be careless," Guopai said softly. Heishan nodded lightly. Looking at Guopai, standing opposite him, he suddenly felt that Guopai was giving him an illusory feeling. They were both in the Xiantian realm. So how could it be like this? "Heishan, watch carefully. How much you can comprehend will depend on your luck," Guopai said with a smile. He walked towards Heishan and punched him. This is impossible." Heishan was stunned. Guopai punched again, and his figure flashed behind Heishan. His body and mind were filled with Guopai's figure. He subconsciously punched out, but it seemed to hit Guopai's body, but it was soft. Guopai smiled and punched Heishan again. After 36 rounds, Guopai stopped. He stood not far away and looked at Heishan, who was gasping for breath. He smiled and walked out of the large circle in the field. "I'm going to eat something. After eating, I'll go to the T-Rex group." Cough, cough. The fist technique just now was too wonderful. The inner strength in the body can be used like this. Brother, how did you think of it? I'll take you as my master." Teach me. Heishan shouted at Guopai's back. Guopai waved his hand lightly and walked into the kitchen. Mengzi, don't hunt birds on the mountain. Come back quickly. Bad brother is here. Heishan dialed Niumeng's number. A few big guys who were hunting wild animals on the mountain received the call and quickly drove to the 531 military camp. The food in this military camp is not bad. Guopai walked out of the kitchen with a smile. Mengzi's car had also arrived and stopped directly at the entrance of the kitchen. Brother, I know you're going to the T-Rex group. Wait a moment. I haven't called to harass you recently. You must wait at the 531 military camp. A few old men want to see you. Give them some face. Niumeng said with a smile. Guopai nodded lightly. After all, the last time he went to the Gu family, the car was provided by the 531 military camp. It would be impolite not to reciprocate. Brother, you agreed. I'll contact a few old men right away, Niumeng said as he took out his phone. At this time, Heishan grabbed the phone. Call your ass. These old men are not fishing here. They must be in the battle command room. Let's go. Heishan, Niumeng, Datai, Zhuzi, and Guopai walked towards the battle command room. Heishan, a few military officers are discussing the battle plan for this military exercise. You can't go in. How about I inform them first? A guard directly stopped Heishan and his party. Inform your ass. A grandson meeting his grandfather. How many people have you seen informing them? Hurry up and get out of the way. I don't have time for you. Heishan said loudly. Old man, hurry up and come out. I brought them here. When they leave, I can't guarantee when they will come again. Big brother Heishan, keep your voice down. They're really having a meeting inside. Not only are the 531 subordinates in charge, but the leaders of the Martial City's military are also there. The guard covered Heishan's mouth and whispered, Shaoli, who is making a scene outside. Why does it sound like Heishan? A voice came from inside the room. It was Heishan's grandfather, Chun Dajuan. Old man, Guopai is here. It's up to you whether you want to see him or not. I don't care. If you don't come out, we will go and play with the Tyrannosaurus Rex group. Heishan shouted again. The door of the battle command room suddenly opened. Brat, where is Guopao? Chun Dajuan asked in a loud voice. The gazes of those who had come out together landed on Guopao. Boy, Yao said you came to the capital. It turns out you are really here. All the big things that have happened in the capital recently are related to you. You are really troublesome. Li Yao's grandfather was invited to the 531 division. He didn't expect to meet Guopai in the capital. Chapter 218. Grandpa, you've already retired from the front line. Why did you come to the capital instead of enjoying your life in Wu Castle? I don't like what you said just now. What did you say about the recent troubles in the capital being caused by me? I'm not that capable. Guopai smiled and said to Li Doqian, I wonder why the other leaders are looking for me. Hurry up and tell me. I'm busy. Kid, how can you talk to me like that? You and Yao are brothers. You're disrespectful to your grandpa. Li Doqian wanted to say something, but he was pulled aside by Chun Dajuan. Old leader, don't join the fun. We're looking for Little Bad, Chun Dajuan said with a smile. Come in. It's hot outside. Come in and talk. As he spoke, Chun Dajuan invited Guopao in. Heishan and the others were originally prepared to walk in arrogantly, but under the old man's murderous gaze, they obediently followed behind and found a corner to sit down. Grandpa, let's not talk about your business first. Let me tell you about my current situation. Guopai smiled and said, I only have 5 meridian opening pills left. If you want, I can give them to you. Before Guopai could finish, Chun Dajuan became excited. 5 meridian opening pills. If I can make 5 innate level soldier kings, I'll wipe you all out in this exercise, no matter if you're from the special forces or the other military region. Guopai was also stunned. So this old man's requirements are not high. He's satisfied with just a few meridian opening pills. I thought I'd have to prepare 100 or 2. Now it's easy. Little Bad, I know your meridian opening pills are expensive. Our military region won't take advantage of you, but you'll have to wait for the money. Before Guopai could say anything, Chun Dajuan hurriedly said. This caused Guopai's eyes to widen again. One honest old man. This old man is too honest. He then looked at Li Doqian, who had an evil smile on his face. He didn't even need to think to know what he was thinking. Little bad, don't stare. We will give you the money very soon. The military region's funds will be coming soon. It won't take too long. Chunda Jun saw Guopai staring and quickly added, "You're too courteous. I haven't thanked you for borrowing the carriage from the 531 Battalion. Grandpa Dotian is here today, so I wouldn't dare to mention money. Take these 5 pills as my contribution to the 531 Battalion. I'll give them to the 531 Battalion," Guopai said with incomparable heroism. It was just that Chunda Jun did not know that this brat in front of him had used nearly 150 pills on the tyrannical dragon group in one go. Little bad, this. Chunda Jun was so excited that he didn't know what to say. Li Doqian straightened his back. Did you hear that? Although this old man is no longer in the military region, his face is still useful. Little bad, we won't take these things for free. How about this? You can become a division commander in the 531 Battalion. I'll take care of the procedures. This way, no matter where you go in Huaxia, anyone wearing a military uniform will more or less have to give you some face. Some things will be easier for you. What do you think? Chunda Jun thought for a while and said with a smile. Guopai nodded lightly. This was a good feeling. The old man was really daring to give him a position in the military region. He could become a division commander in an instant. Chunda Jun looked at Guopai and nodded. Then he rubbed his hands. Although he didn't say it, Guopai understood at a glance. Pills, give them to us. The internal competition in the military region is already over. A few peak Hodian soldier elites have been stuck in this awkward realm for many years. 5 meridian opening pills. Keep them well. If they are snatched by others, I won't be responsible, Gui said with a mischievous smile. Just as he handed the pills over to Chun Dajuan, a group of people surrounded him. Old Chun, although no one from the 35th Battalion entered the top 5 in this competition, we have several peak Hotian soldier elites. This time, no matter what, you have to give me one. An old man who was about the same age as Chunda Jun said loudly. Old Zhao, the competition is already over. Now that you've done this, we won't agree. Before Chunda Jun could say anything, another division commander beside him had already stood up. Old Zhang, you're a soldier from the 35th Battalion. Is this how you treat your family members? The division commander, surnamed Zhao, said with a trace of contempt. If it's no good, then let's have another competition. Last time, our 35th Battalion drew a bad lot. Otherwise, how could we have 2 spots in the top 5? Chunda Jun looked at his several subordinates who were staring at each other. None of them were willing to give up. The several senior colonels from the Wu Castle military region who had followed Li Dotian here were rubbing their hands and looking at Li Dotian. You've already given face to the imperial capital military region. Our Wu Castle side won't ask for much. No matter what, you have to give us 5 pills. Li Dotian suddenly felt his face heat up. It wasn't that simple to ask Guopai for pills. Everyone, you can discuss how to divide the pills first. I have to go to the Violent Dragon group. On the 8th of next month, this kid will be getting married in the imperial capital. If you have time, you can come and attend. I won't be sending out invitations. Guopai finished speaking and quickly left the command room. Elders, can I say something? Niu Meng, who was squatting in a corner, asked in a low voice. Child of the Niu family, if you have something to say, just say it. Why does Niu Jinshan have such a wishy-washy, cowardly grandson like you? A division commander shouted angrily. If you say I'm wishy-washy or cowardly, then don't listen. Niu Meng, know Brother Guopai well. He's not a stingy person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have helped more than 100 people from the Violent Dragon group to increase their strength. Not only did they enter the Xiantian realm from the Hotian realm, but they also entered the Xiantian realm. In any case, the strength of the 4 dragon groups around the Dragon King has increased as a whole. You guys are really useless, Niu Meng said with a trace of disdain as he looked at the old men. Little calf, are you telling the truth? Chunda Jun was the first to react. No wonder when the 4 dragon groups went down the mountain last time, they felt much stronger than before. Could it be that Guopai had single-handedly made them stronger? Scram, get out of the way. I'm going to find Guopai, Chunda Jun said as he kicked Chun Haishan, who was squatting at the door. However, When he ran out, Guopai had already left in a military jeep. Little brat, why didn't you say so earlier? And you bunch of brats, after your strength increased, you don't even think about the 531 Battalion. You're all soldiers of the 531 Battalion. Jun ran into the house and looked at the brats squatting in the corner. He kicked each of them until they didn't dare to make sound. Heishan glanced at his grandfather. You can't blame us for this. When we broke through to the Hotian realm, you were only happy and didn't ask us about this. Old Chun, since you have 5 more Xiantian soldier elites, there's no need to discuss the military exercise anymore. We'll definitely win. Little Bad will be getting married on the 8th of next month. I'll return to Wu Castle first. I have to prepare some gifts for the little fellow, huh? Li Doutian said with a smile. Jun also seemed to have recovered from his shock. The older the ginger, the spicier it was. This old chief was thinking much further than him. There were still many things he could learn from the old chief. Chapter 219. Brother, it's been a few days. Have you finished your business? No one in the capital made things difficult for you, right? If anyone made things difficult for you, just tell us. We'll settle the rest. As soon as he arrived at the Tyrannosaurus Mountain, he heard Xing Tian's loud voice. Behind him were a dozen of his soldiers. When they saw Guopai, their faces were filled with respect. Brother Xing, I didn't encounter any trouble in the capital. Haha, Dragon King is here, right? Today, I'm here to say goodbye to everyone. Promise the other 4 brothers of our Tyrannosaurus group to quickly get the medicine. I have to return to Wu Castle first, Guopai said with a smile. He didn't need Xing Tian to lead the way and directly walked up the Tyrannosaurus Mountain. Little friend, that's a big move. I heard from Jiang Ao and Xing Tian that you've dealt with the Gu family thoroughly. However, they didn't explain clearly what happened. Why don't you tell this old man? Xiao Wudi was watching the Tyrannosaurus group's soldiers train in the martial field. When he saw Guopai walking over, he laughed and said loudly, "It involves some grudges from 10,000 years ago. It's not easy to explain. Anyway, I'm not wrong to deal with the Gu family like this. Dragon King, you have to believe me, haha," Guopai said with a smile. He couldn't possibly tell you that the Gu family was controlled by an ancient great demon. As an old general of the Heavenly Court, his brother used a trace of immortal power to drive the great demon away. Would you believe it? Haha, heroes come from young. If it's not easy to explain, then don't. Anyway, if anyone comes to find trouble with you, the Tyrannosaurus group will take care of it for you, Xiao Wudi said with a smile. I heard from Fian that you're going to hold a wedding in the capital on the 8th of next month. At that time, I'll have to go and freeload some wine. There's a place for this old man, right? Dragon King must be joking. There's something I was about to tell you. Guopai said with a smile. My wife is a member of the Lin family. However, some of the things that the Lin family has done over the years have made my wife and me very unhappy. Therefore, we're not going to let the Lin family take advantage of us. So, we want to find a backer for my wife, and then we thought of you, Dragon King. Can you see if you can do this for me? If you agree, next time we go to the Tyrannosaurus group, I'll let my wife acknowledge you as her father. In the future, everything will be on your shoulders, haha. The Dragon King looked at Guopai and felt that he was not joking. He also nodded seriously. Guopai and the Dragon King laughed together. Little bad, then I'll take advantage of you. My adopted daughter is called Lin Shuang, right? When you return from Wu Castle, bring her to Mount Baolong and introduce her to the clan, Xiao Wudi said with a smile. Guopai nodded. At night, Guopai once again made a pile of delicious food. The people of the Tyrannosaurus group ate very comfortably and became more talkative. Xingqian, last time it was you guys who went out to carry out a mission. This time, the security and service work for Brother Bad's wedding will be left to us 4 groups. You guys just need to guard Mount Baolong well. Chu Yi, the leader of the Purple Dragon group, said with a smile. Old Chu is right. Dragon King can't be biased this time. This time, we will go to the capital to help out at Brother's wedding, Bai Xiao said with a smile. Then, the 8 leaders of the dragon group quarreled again. Anyway, I don't care. My people will definitely go, Xia Fian said with her head held high. Fian, if you're going to marry Brother Gua, Then we don't mind if all of your people go. It's not like you're getting married this time. Why are you in such a hurry to go? Huang Long Ludi's words made Xia Fian's face turn red. Old Lu, you're in the wrong if you say that. Fian is going there to learn some experience and prepare for her marriage. When the time comes, everyone from our dragon group will go. Let 531's people guard our base camp for us, Bai Xiao said loudly, not caring about Xia Fian's expression at all. Guopai looked at Xia Fian, whose face was flushed red. Don't say, this girl's looks were not bad, but she could only follow him. Guopai did not believe that there would be anyone in this world who would dare to marry such a pure young body. What's wrong with marrying Guopai? When he first arrived at Mount Baolong, I said that I would follow him if he cured my foster father and defeated me. Now that Guopai has satisfied both conditions, I will marry him. Do any of you have any objections? After Xia Fian finished speaking, she ran away as if she was flying, leaving behind a group of men who were laughing loudly. Little bad. Then, after the wedding in the imperial capital is over, we will hold another ceremony at Mount Baolong and take Fian away. It is not easy for this girl to follow us on Mount Baolong. Ha! Dragon King said with a smile. Guopai nodded his head with a clear conscience, making the few leaders of the dragon group give him a thumbs up. Dinner was very pleasant. In the end, Guopai told all the members of the dragon group that when he got married, he would let everyone go over to help. This time, the Tyrannosaurus group became lively again. The excited roars made 531's garrison at the foot of the mountain couldn't help but shiver. What were these killing machines shouting for? Dragon King, when I went up the mountain, I found that there were a lot of herbs on this mountain. I know that there are a lot of people in the Tyrannosaurus group who know Chinese medicine. Let them gather as many of these herbs as they can. Just don't destroy their foundation. After waking up early in the morning, Guopai handed a few pieces of white paper with sketches to Dragon King. Dragon King nodded his head lightly. Brothers, you don't have to send me off. Don't worry. After the refining of the medicine in Wu Castle is done, I will return to Mount Baolong as soon as possible and help my brothers to improve their overall strength. Ha! After saying that, Guopai leaped and disappeared from where he was. The few people all stared with their eyes wide open. The footwork just now, he was an expert. The next time Guopai came, they must ask him to teach them. Guopai drove the big jeep back to 531's leisurely. The matters in the imperial capital were perfectly settled. It was time to prepare to return to Wu Castle. Yuer's wife, Wei Wei's wife, Xiaoxi's wife, Xiao Yezi's wife, I miss you all. However, when the car just entered 531's military region, Guopai saw a group of old men all standing on the field. This formation was not small. Grandpa Li, you haven't returned to Wu Castle yet? I know you have a private plane, but I'm not used to flying swords. I'll drive back. You don't have to wait for me. Guopai looked at Li Doqian and said with a smile. His plane was destroyed by that old man's dagger at the Gu family. He could not be careless now. Taking a plane? Forget it. Hee, kid, since the matters in the imperial capital are settled, let's talk about Wu Castle. As a promising young man of Wu Castle, you have the responsibility and obligation to help the Wu Castle military region improve its strength. Don't you think so? Li Doqian said with a smile. Guopai's face was full of black lines. Old man, you've already retired from the front line. Why are you still so nosy? I don't have any more pills. If you don't believe me, you can search me. After all, you're all good at this. Guopai's words made Li Doqian and the group of old men behind a blush. Little bad. I've already given the 5 pills to a few soldiers with good quality. I know these pills are precious, but do you think you can get us some more next time? As he spoke, Chen Dajuan handed a small booklet with a military officer's certificate to Guopai. He was Guopai, the commander of the 531's Special Combat Division. Guopai looked at it and smiled. There were only 2 people in the Special Combat Division. One was him, and the other was Vice Commander Niuming. Little bad. You're now a member of the 531's army. I hope you can get us some more pills next time. I don't want too many, just about the same as the T-Rex groups, Chen Dajuan said with a smile. Guopai felt a headache coming on. Do you really think it's so easy to get these pills? If it weren't for the fact that he had the Lao Jun gourd on him, he would never give these pills to Immortal. In the end, Guopai agreed to the various requests of the group of old men. Under the gazes of the group of lieutenant colonels and senior colonels, he returned to the imperial capital with Nioming. Of course, what made Guopai very happy was that in less than a day, the 531's army had already delivered 2 carts of medicinal herbs to the Gu residence in the imperial capital. Chapter 220. Brother Tingfei, you don't have to drive us. We can drive back. Don't worry about my driving skills. After coming down from Mount Baolong, Guopai looked at Na Zha again and picked up Sun Ling Ling. They had been out for more than half a month. They were ready to go back to Wu Castle. Brother, I know your driving skills. We have seen the information from Wu Castle. Last time you almost died. Xinyuan Tengfei said with a smile. Guopai was speechless. In the end, Xinyuan Tengfei, Nioming, and the others followed Guopao all the way to the entrance of the Imperial Capital Expressway. Only then did they part ways. Guopao took Lin Shuang and Sun Ling Ling and rushed towards Marshall City. Why are you driving so fast? Do you miss Sister Yua? Or do you want to be alone with Sister Lin Shuang and me? Sun Ling Ling asked with a smile. Guopai sighed in his heart. This woman had a lot of ideas. Pretty wife, I have been treating you well recently. You are making me sad. Guopai said softly. I know how you have been treating me. But no matter what you say, I am still alone. Sister Lin Shuang is at least 2 people now. Sun Ling Ling said, and put her little hand on Lin Shuang's belly. Lin Shuang's little face suddenly turned red. Guopai laughed. Bad guy, it's all your fault. Why are you laughing? Lin Shuang said with a red face. Guopai stepped on the gas. He had better go back to Bugyako first. He was eloquent, but in front of the woman he liked, it was better to be silent. The 2 women looked at Guopai's expression and laughed. A master of the enlightening stage. He is at the late stage of the enlightening stage. He is only 1 step away from the fasting stage. Why is he in the clinic? Is someone here to challenge us? Guopai sent Lin Shuang and Sun Ling Ling back to school and had some fun with the other girls. In the end, he promised them that he would bring them home for dinner this weekend. However, just as he arrived at the entrance of Bugyaku, an extremely powerful aura came from Bugyaku. It was clearly not Zhou Tianyang's aura. Guopai was stunned. Hall Master, you're finally back. Chao Qingquan was cleaning up the herbs in the courtyard. When he raised his head and saw Guopai, he shouted loudly. Several other people who were busy in the house also hurried out. Guopai smiled at everyone. Everyone was shocked. Guopai was back. This Bugyaku was the real Bugyaku. You've worked hard during this period of time. Is there anything wrong with the clinic? Guopai asked with a smile. At this time, Ghost Dr. Zhang Tianzhong came out of the house. Little you, you're finally back. Bugyaku's reputation is really big. All the difficult and complicated diseases in Huaxia have come to Bugyaku. The surrounding hotels are now full. You've been busy recently. Zhang Tianzhong said with a smile. I'll be going to the Chinese Medicine Association soon. Thank you. Guopai said with a smile. At this time, the aura of the master of the enlightening stage suddenly appeared in the courtyard. Little you, Qin Fengyu of Bugyaka Mountain. You've been gone for a few days. This old man has also helped a lot in the past few days. Qin Fengyu said with a smile. Guopai's gaze fell on Qin Fengyu's body. He was in the enlightening stage. The step he took just now was a bit like a ladder. This old man was not an ordinary person. I'd like to thank Senior Qin. I saw that when you were circulating your qi slowed down a bit when it reached the Tianjing, Shaohai, and Huizong acupoints. You must have left some hidden injuries when you fought with others in the past. Guopai said with a smile. Qin Fengyu was stunned. There was no need to check his pulse. Just by looking at him, Qin Fengyu could tell that his right arm was injured in the past. This medical skill was too terrifying. Senior, don't talk first. Let's go into the house first. Guopai gestured for Qin Fengyu to enter. Qin Fengyu walked straight in. Guopai did not go in. He pulled Zhou Tianyang to the side. Little bad. Right after you left Wu Castle, this master came to Bugyaku. He did not say anything. A few students checked his pulse, and told me directly that he was in the enlightening stage. I was shocked. In the end, the old man stayed in Bugyaku. Of course, recently, some difficult diseases that the old masters of the Chinese Medicine Association could not treat were all cured by him. Zhou Tianyang whispered. You didn't fight with him, right? Guopai asked in a low voice. No. The first time I saw him, he said one sentence. Not bad. He's in the enlightening stage. I knew then that I was not his opponent. Zhou Tianyang whispered. Guopai laughed. He made Uncle Zhou, who was in the enlightening stage, admit defeat. It seemed that Uncle Zhou was not in a good mood recently. Senior Qin should be from Wudong Mountain, right? Guopai walked into the room and said to Qin Fengyu with a smile. Little you know the old man. Qin Fengyu was once again stunned by Guopai's words. He did not make a move. Qin Fengyu could tell that he had stayed in Wudong Mountain before. If that was really the case, then this late-stage Xiantian realm kid in front of him could really cure his hidden injuries. I don't know him, but when Senior was walking in the courtyard just now, I felt like you were walking on a ladder. That's why I asked. Guopai said with a smile. Senior, you're here for the injury on your right arm, right? If this injury can't be cured, then I'm afraid Senior will stop at the enlightening stage. Little you, I don't know who your master is. With your age, you could be considered the number one person in Huaxia to be able to tell that you're walking on a ladder. Little you must be very proficient in martial arts. It seems that there really isn't such a hidden sect in Huaxia, Qin Fengyu said with a face full of shock. My master has ordered me not to tell Senior in detail, Guopai said with a smile. But I should have a way to help Senior take a look at your hidden injuries. Haha, then this old man will thank little you in advance. You don't have to call me Senior anymore. The one who has reached the top is the teacher. If this is the case, then I'll have to call you teacher in terms of medical skills. You can call me Lao Qin, and I'll call you Little Bad. What do you think? Qin Fengyu said with a smile. Guopai lightly nodded. Lung Shuang, Emperor Jia, you guys put up an announcement saying that Guopai is back. For the next 3 days, I'll be treating 100 people every day. After 3 days, I'll be going on a long trip. Those who can't make it in time will have to continue waiting. Guopai said with a smile. Lung Shuang lightly nodded. Chun Jiaoti's face was full of excitement because he could finally see Guopai treating people again. Master, you just came back and you're going out again? PMO, who was standing behind Guopai, asked softly. Don't you want me to go to your ghost doctor sect? Guopai asked with a smile. Himo's body trembled. So Guopai wanted to go to the ghost doctor sect. Perhaps he really did have a way to solve the problem of the ghost doctor sect backlash. Follow this prescription and get Su Tu to boil 8 bowls of water into 1 bowl. I'll let Lao Qin take a look first. Guopai said with a smile. Qin Fengyu also smiled. This young man was very interesting. With 3 fingers on Qin Fengyu's wrist, Guopai could clearly feel that there were 2 types of energy restraining each other in Qin Fengyu's meridians. It was as he had guessed. It seemed that Qin Fengyu didn't have the upper hand in the battle back then. Little Bad, do you have a way to cure my hidden illness? Qin Fengyu asked with a smile. Actually, he didn't have much hope this time because he knew that the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Just like what Peng Tianhua had said before, the person who could cure their hidden illness hadn't been born yet. The person who injured Lao Qin back then was an inner force expert. It seems that Lao Qin's cloud ladder flight has already reached the large success stage. Otherwise, I'm afraid you would have died. Guopai said softly. I'm ashamed to say this. At that time, my sworn brother and I both reached the enlightened realm at the same time. On Mount Buzhou, a person named Wuxiu came. The 2 of us were heavily injured, and that person also suffered a small loss. If it was me, I wouldn't have survived. Qin Fengyu didn't hide anything and said with a smile. Chapter 221. 1 against 2. Both of you are already experts in the enlightening stage. It seems that the strength of that person back then was not bad. Guopai said softly. Qin Fengyu nodded his head lightly. Guopai took out the silver needles and asked Qin Fengyu to take off his shirt. This time, the insertion of the needles was extremely slow. It took about 10 minutes before all 8 silver needles were inserted into Qin Fengyu's body. However, from Qin Fengyu's expression, it seemed that the insertion of the needles was not successful. Qin Fengyu was expressionless, as if the needles were not inserted into his body at all. "Senior, try to move your qi away from your right arm," Guopai said softly. Qin Fengyu widened his eyes. 10 years ago, he had tried it once. At that time, he felt that the qi in his right arm had suddenly weakened. He thought that he could force the qi out, but it was only for a moment. Qin Fengyu still remembered the pain of that day. "Senior, don't worry. I'm here," Guopai said with a smile. Qin Fengyu pondered over it again and nodded his head lightly. He clenched his teeth and withdrew the qi in his right arm. "Now!" Guopai roared. The last silver needle in his hand was inserted into Qin Fengyu's shoulder. Following that, the 9 silver needles vibrated at the same time. One could even hear a faint sound. "Senior, if it hurts, then shout it out. This is just the beginning," Guopai said loudly. He then stretched out his left index finger and touched Qin Fengyu's arm. Qin Fengyu widened his eyes. The qi seemed to have met a great enemy and escaped toward his palm. However, when it reached his wrist, the silver needle on his wrist blocked the qi's path. Qin Fengyu could not believe that such a silver needle could actually block the qi. "Old man, whether you can get them all out or not will depend on yourself. I will pull out the silver needle later. You use all the qi in your body to block the qi's path and force them out of your body," Guopai said softly. Qin Fengyu was sweating profusely and nodded his head. "Withdraw," Guopai shouted, and the silver needle on his wrist flew out. Then, the eye of a needle was like the safety valve of a pressure cooker, and white smoke came out. Qin Fengyu's face was livid, and he clenched his teeth. Finally, he could get this damn thing out. No matter what, he could not let go of this opportunity. After about 3 minutes, Guopai lightly shook his head. No, Qin Fengyu did not dare to press all of his qi in his right arm. Not to mention other things, even his meridians would not be able to withstand it. Although 70% of his qi had been released, the remaining 30% seemed to have a mind of its own and started to rush towards his arm. "Little bad, I can't take it anymore," Qin Fengyu mumbled. Guopai once again took out a silver needle that was nearly 30 centimeters long and pierced it into Qin Fengyu's head. The students at the side all widened their eyes, and a few girls covered their mouths, afraid that they would scream out loud. "Ah!" Qin Fengyu let out a loud roar. The aura on his body became much stronger. The true qi also felt the change in Qin Fengyu and did not dare to move again. Then, a powerful true qi directly rushed into his arm. The true qi that came from outside the needles, I carried a trace of resentment and fiercely rushed out of the eye of the needle. The leg of the purple gold sandalwood table that was facing the eye of the needle was directly broken. Guopao gasped for breath and pulled out the long needle. Then he stuffed an emerald pill into his mouth and sat cross-legged. The moment the silver needle was pulled out, Qin Fengyu immediately withered. His whole body seemed to have been sucked dry, and he directly laid on the ground. "Don't touch them. Wait for Little Bad to wake up first." When a few students wanted to help Qin Fengyu up, Zhou Tianyang said loudly. A few students looked at each other and nodded their heads. 15 minutes later, Guopai woke up. Looking at Qin Fengyu, who was still lying on the ground, the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. Old Master Qin could be considered the first person to enter the Anidia realm without triggering the wrath of heaven. Guopai used the silver needle to activate all the qi that had accumulated in Qin Fengyu's body over the years, allowing him to enter the Anidia realm in an instant. Before the wrath of heaven could appear, the qi in his body forced out the external qi, and then he fell into a deep sleep again. However, now that Qin Fengyu had woken up, he could already be considered an expert in the Anidia realm. About half an hour later, Hiemo did not see what happened just now. He carried a bowl of Chinese medicine and walked in front of Guopai. Looking at Qin Fengyu, who was lying on the ground, he frowned. "The few of you, feed this medicine to Senior Qin. In about half an hour, he will wake up. I will go and rest first. When Senior Qin wakes up, let him come and find me," Guopai said softly. He stood up shakily and walked towards his room. Just as he walked into the room, Guopai directly lay on the bed. Damn it, luckily I didn't collapse. If I did, it would be embarrassing. However, it seems that I should not do such heaven-defying things. Otherwise, something will happen sooner or later. Guopai muttered to himself, Hubby, what heaven-defying things did you do again? Why didn't you report to your wife when you reached home? You are rebellious. Just as Guopai finished speaking, a gentle voice sounded in his ears, causing Guopai to involuntarily shiver. Fortunately, it was you. If she was his enemy, the mind-reading sage's life in the mortal world would be over. Er's wife, are you trying to murder your husband? Guopai said with a smile. However, he did not sit up. Now, he had no strength in his body. Don't talk. You're working so hard to treat an outsider. We have heard about what happened in the imperial capital. Little guy, you are quite impressive. You don't seem to have asked for my permission to get married on the 8th of next month. Curled her lips and said, Take a rest first. When you recover, you will see how I will deal with you. As she spoke, Er's small hand pinched a piece of tender flesh on Guopau's waist and twirled it around, causing Guopau to involuntarily let out a loud cry. The nearby students all looked over. It seemed that the headmaster's injuries weren't light after treating this old man. Guopai took out another elixir and put it in his mouth. After about 10 minutes, Guopai felt that his body finally had some strength. Moreover, he had gained a lot. He was not far from the enlightening period. Little Bad. Where's Little Bad? Guopai's prediction was right. After about half an hour, Qin Fengyu opened his eyes. He did not care that his upper body was naked and asked the students around him loudly. The hall master said that when Senior wakes up, go to his room to find him. Su Tu looked at the excited Qin Fengyu and said softly. The hall master was really amazing. Not only did he predict things, but it seemed that the old man's hidden illness was really cured by him. Su Tu and the other students thought to themselves, Haha, old Peng, I told you to come, but you didn't come. Let's see if you will regret it when we return to Buzhou Mountain. Qin Fengyu laughed as he walked. Although his body had not fully recovered, how could he not know that the door to the fasting period that had been tightly shut for nearly 70 years had once again opened for him? Little Bad, I can't thank you enough. If you encounter any problems in Huaxia in the future, as long as Lao Qin can help, just say the word and I will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. Qin Fengyu opened the door and saw Guopai sitting on a stool drinking hot tea. However, he could feel that Guopai had done a lot to help him this time. Chapter 222. Senior is too polite. Guopai said with a smile. Take this pill, and I'll prescribe some Chinese medicine for you later to strengthen your foundation. I won't say anything else. Retribution is inevitable. Senior should know better than this junior. Qin Fengyu took the pill and nodded his head. Looking at Guopai, who was drinking by himself, he felt that he couldn't defeat Guopai. He didn't know why he had such a feeling. 3 days later, this junior will be going to the Ghost Doctor sect. If Senior has time, you can come with me. How about it? Guopai looked at Qin Fengyu and said with a smile. He didn't know what the Ghost Doctor sect would encounter this time, but if an expert in the fasting period came along, he could leave the fighting to Qin Fengyu. Ghost Doctor sect? He Qinsho's place? Haha, good. 3 days later, this old man will accompany little you. Qin Fengyu said with a smile. The two of them chatted for a while and walked out of Guopai's room. Headmaster, you won't be able to rest this afternoon. Chun Jiadi said with a trace of helplessness. Guopai raised his head and looked at Bugyaku's entrance. Because Bugyaku announced that they would be treating 100 people every day, there were already people coming to Bugyaku for treatment. Moreover, all of them were difficult to treat in Huaxia. Thinking about it, the Chinese Medicine Association's president and Qin Fengyu would be able to treat most of the patients. Now, the rest of the patients were those that they couldn't handle. I'll go take a look, Guopai said softly and walked straight to Bugyaku's entrance. Headmaster Guo, we rushed over from Northwest City and have been waiting here for you for 2 weeks. Please take a look at my father, I beg you. A middle-aged woman said loudly. Beside her sat an old man in a wheelchair with a serious face. Mao Dawei, right? Guopai asked softly. When he arrived, he had already glanced at the registration list. There was a photo behind each name. Guopai recognized the middle-aged man in front of him at a glance. Mao Dawei nodded excitedly, and so did Guopai. Then, he said loudly to the crowd, "The first 50 people who have registered this afternoon can stay here. As long as they are not within the scope of the 6 no treatments in Bugyaku, I will treat them today. My energy is limited, and when the time comes, things will go in the opposite direction. 50 people. As long as they don't break Bugyaku's rules, they will treat them." What a boastful claim, a few middle-aged men in the corner said with gloomy faces. However, all the patients standing outside Bugyaku nodded in agreement. Almost 1/3 of the original team of 300 to 400 people was left. Guopai walked into the room, and a few students began to come out to maintain order. Mao Dawei pushed his father into Bugyaku. The old man is a soldier. The moment they entered the consulting room, Guopai said softly, "There is a piece of shrapnel that has not been removed, and it is pressing on the old man's nerves. That's why he is in this situation now. Why don't you try Western medicine? This operation is not difficult. This is my father's idea. He said that he has been fighting foreign devils all his life. When he is about to die, he has to use the foreign devil's method to treat himself. He is not happy in his heart. If that is the case, he would rather die directly. That's why he has been delaying it until now." Mao Dawei said softly, "Dingua, I wonder if you can remove the shrapnel from my father's body." Although Guopai's name had been remembered by many people in Huaxia, especially during the time he was in the capital, Mao Dawei could not see what ability this little boy, who was much younger than him, had. Guopai called Su Tu, who was outside, into the room and looked at Su Tu with a smirk. Su Tu, who had just entered the room, felt a little uncomfortable. "Su Tu, I see that you have been wanting to practice Chinese medicine surgery these days. This time, I will satisfy your wish. How about the two of us help the old man take out the shrapnel?" Guopai said with a smile. After hearing Guopai's words, Su Tu's forehead was covered with a layer of cold sweat. "Boss, I just feel that the matter of you using silver needles to treat the tumor at school last time was very magical. Recently, I have been studying the ghastly 13 needles with HMO." She said it ambiguously, and I was confused. "Today, you should do the Chinese medicine surgery by yourself," Su Tu whispered. Mao Dawei hurriedly nodded in agreement. "Why are you so unmanly? Our Bugyaku doesn't need a coward like you. Since you want to learn more exquisite medical skills, you have to go step by step," Guopai said loudly. Su Tu looked at Guopai's serious face and nodded fiercely. However, he was puzzled about one thing. How did Guopai find him? Recently, he wanted to learn how to use Chinese medicine knowledge to perform surgery. PMO did not tell him about this. "Brother Mao, you go out first. In 15 minutes, we will help the old man take out the shrapnel. You don't have to stay here. You make Su Tu a little nervous," Guopai said with a smile. Mao Dawei was a little worried, but he still obeyed Guopai's words and went out. The biggest difficulties of Chinese medicine surgery are anesthesia and hemostasis. This time, take out the shrapnel from the back of the old man's head. I will command, and you will do it. Come on. As soon as Guopai's voice fell, Su Tu felt that his legs were a little weak. However, he suddenly felt a trace of coolness in his mind. Looking at Guopai's confident eyes, Su Tu nodded unnaturally. "We all know the location of shrapnel. What you need to do now is to anesthetize the old man. In fact, it seems difficult, but it is not too difficult to do. You only need to use silver needles to seal these acupuncture points. But remember, no matter when, the needles must be fast, accurate, and ruthless." Guopai took out a set of silver needles and placed it in front of Su Tuesday. "Boss, you really want me to do it?" Su Tu asked again, not daring to be sure. Guopao nodded gently. Su Tu picked up the silver needles. According to what Guopao said just now, 9 silver needles were used to seal the acupuncture points of the old man of the Mao family. The old man immediately lay on the bed. The next step is to stop the bleeding. You need to make sure that the old man will not bleed profusely because of the shrapnel when we take it out. Follow what I taught you before and insert the needles. Guopai did not even remind him this time. 9 more silver needles appeared in Su Tu's hand and were firmly inserted into the acupuncture points. Boss, how do I remove the shrapnel? Although the first 2 steps were done well, Su Tu was really nervous when he had to cut open the head to remove the shrapnel. Su Tu, remember, I will do it this time. If you encounter the same thing in the future, you will do it yourself. If you're not familiar with it, ask old Zhou to buy some pig's head and sheep's head and practice it yourself. After saying that, Guopai took out a flying knife and quickly cut open the old man's scalp, followed by the skull. He quickly took out a piece of shrapnel the size of a pinky nail and let Su Tu do a simple bandage. Just like that, the shrapnel was easily removed. However, if they wanted to know whether the operation was successful or not, they would have to wait and see the old man's performance after he woke up. Guopai looked at Su Tu, who was still a little nervous, and smiled slightly. In the future, Bugyaku will be yours. I don't expect each of you to be able to solve all the problems, but I still hope that you can at least be proficient in one thing. This way, my trip to the mortal world will not be in vain. Chapter 223. Headmaster, how long will it take for the old man to wake up? Almost 10 minutes later, the old man of the Mao family was still lying motionless on the bed. Guopai had already let the anxious Mao Dawei in. Su Tu asked in a low voice, "It'll take a few more minutes. Go and tell the other students to pick 2 patients from the first 49 patients and bring them to me." Guopai said with a smile, "Brother Mao, go and pay the money. It's 500,000 yuan. It shouldn't be difficult for you. Can I wait until the old man wakes up?" Mao Dawei looked at his father, lying motionless on the bed, and whispered with a trace of doubt in his heart, "It'll be 5 million yuan when he wakes up." "Haha, whatever you want," Guopai said with a smile and sat on the stool. Su Tu had already run outside to call for people. Mao Dawei thought about it and decided to stay. It was just money. Although the Mao family was not considered rich in Northwest City, they could still take out tens of millions. However, a minute later, the old man of the Mao family slowly opened his eyes. The first sentence he said made Mao Dawei blush. "Prodigal boy, since you believe in traditional Chinese medicine, why didn't you hurry to pay the money just now? Do you think all the money I saved in the past came from the wind?" The first sentence of the old man, after he woke up, made Guopai laugh. Mao Dawei naturally did not dare to talk back. After making sure that the shrapnel in the back of his head was removed, he bowed deeply to Guopai. A stream of merit power entered Guopai's body. Guopai smiled slightly. This was what he wanted. Go ahead and get the medicine. I've already told Su Tuesday. The consultation fee is 5 million yuan. I won't be polite with you, Guopai said with a smile. The father and son of the Mao family nodded gratefully. The old man was fine. In the future, no one in Northwest City would dare to have any ideas about the Mao family. Su Tu told all the students in Bugyaku what Guopai meant. The whole Bugyaku suddenly became lively. The students who worked in Bugyaku were very smart. Naturally, they understood what Guopai meant. The 49 patients were quickly divided up by them. The second patient entered the room and saw that the old man of the Mao family was walking out step by step with the help of Mao Dawei. He immediately widened his eyes. He knew this old man. He had followed them to Wu Castle, but he was worried that the old man could not hold on until Guopai came back. He did not expect that the old man could walk now. A miracle working doctor. Guopai was definitely a miracle working doctor. He became more confident about his illness. "Lu Buji, little brother, you have to save me." A middle-aged man walked into the room and looked at Guopai with a hint of sobbing. The person who let him in was Mo, which made Guopai stunned. "Headmaster, I can't cure the spots on his body." The 4 vice presidents of the Chinese Medicine Association also did not come up with a cure. Mo said softly. Guopai smiled and nodded. From the moment the middle-aged man in front of him entered the room, Guopai more or less knew the cause of Lu Buji's illness. Little Mo, the ghost doctor sect should have records of these strange spots, right? Guopai looked at the traces of strange spots on Lu Buji's neck and said with a smile, "At first, I also thought it was that thing. But I tried to treat it with 13 needles, but there was no effect. So I'm not sure if it's true or not," Himo said softly. "The two of you don't talk in riddles. What exactly are these spots on my body? Although they don't hurt or itch, there are more and more of them on my body. I feel like I might die from them," Lu Buji said softly. "You guessed right. If this goes on, 3 years, at most 3 years, you will die from these strange spots. You should know what this is, right?" Guopai said with narrowed eyes. "Sometimes, you have to pay back what you owe. Headmaster Gua, is this thing really related to what happened to me when I was in my 30s? Lu Buji was stunned at first. Then, a fierce look appeared in his eyes, and he asked Guopai with a trace of expectation, "Do you know why everyone who was with you back then died, and you're the only one who survived until now?" Guopai did not answer Lu Buji's question and did not care about Himo, who did not understand what the two were talking about. "Headmaster Gua, I am a doctor. Do you think these things can help my illness?" Lu Buji said with a trace of disdain. "When you first entered the room, I could have let you leave immediately. After doing so many unnatural things, I was afraid that if I helped you, I would be plagued with bad karma. However, after thinking about it, you are not one of the 6 doctors. You were brought in by Himo, so I want to give you a chance. It's up to you whether you want to grasp it or not," Guopai said softly. Himo's little face suddenly reddened. Although she did not know what Guopai meant, she could roughly guess that Guopai wanted to treat this person more or less because she had chosen him. Lu Buji looked at Guopai. This young man was not simple. Not to mention whether the news from the capital was true or false. He was able to tell the origin of these strange spots with just a glance and guess what he did for a living. He was definitely not simple. "Headmaster Gua, since you have given me this chance, I will tell you about my past." Lu Buji took a deep breath and said softly, 30 years ago, the most professional, authoritative, and powerful tomb raiding group in Huaxia, Third Lu, was this Lu Buji in front of him. No one would have thought that an inconspicuous village with only 30 or so families in a small county in Beishi City would be my hometown. No one would have known that my ancestor was a tomb raiding captain who followed Chowminda back then. Lu Buji said softly, as if he was recalling something. The things our ancestor left behind for us descendants began to be taboo in the village. Until my grandfather's generation, the village was plagued by insects, and there was no harvest. They began to rob tombs. Lu Buji said with a smile, "My grandfather was a very powerful person. Back then, he led 12 men in the village to dig up the ancestor's tomb in order to survive. Of course, with effort comes reward. Back then, many villages near us starved to death, but not a single person in our small village starved to death. You are a descendant of Lu Xuanfen?" Himo's words caused Lu Buji's eyes to widen. This little girl actually said Himo's grandfather's name directly. Guopai also looked at her curiously. "You can continue first. Headmaster, I will go out for a moment. If you can treat this zombie king spot, I will come back in a moment." With that, Himo stood up and walked out. Lu Buji looked at Himo's back. Strange. This Guopai was very strange, and this little girl called Himo was even stranger. "Headmaster Gua, should I continue?" Lu Buji asked softly. Chapter 224. Tell me how you got this zombie king spot. If it's really like what Himo said, I don't think I can cure you today. You'll have to stay in Bugyaku, Guopai said softly. Ever since my grandfather's generation started this business, everyone has tasted the sweetness of it. The ancient tombs back then were not like now. The country's protection or people like us have been emptied out, but my grandfather and the others have never been empty-handed, Lu Buji said softly. 30 years ago, a few people from the same village and I searched for a long time. We found a large tomb in a place with excellent feng shui. We can't say who it belongs to, but to be able to create a tomb in such a place, it must be very rich, Lu Buji said as he looked into the distance. Third brother, this place is not bad. We've been here for a year. Whether or not we can go back and have a good new year depends on this. 30 years ago, on Dragon Breath Mountain, A big guy said to third Lu. Dahan, this time I'll go down with you. You stay up here. This tomb is not small. There must be a lot of things inside. I'm afraid Hey Z and the others will mess around again, third Lu said with a smile. Third brother, I don't like what you're saying. What do you mean mess around? What kind of mess around in a tomb? A young man with dark skin said loudly. The other 8 or 9 people also laughed. Hey Z, have you forgotten what happened in the princess tomb? Do you need me to say it again? Third Lu stared at Hey Z and said, this time, everyone has one item. If there's something outside the coffin lid, don't open the coffin. If there's nothing, don't disturb the dead after opening the coffin. A year ago, it was also third Lu who led Han and a dozen people to find the tomb of a Tang Dynasty palace lord. At that time, they messed around with a lot of things. Before they came out, Hey Z reached out with a trace of disdain to touch the corpse that scared them when they opened the coffin. In the end, the corpse suddenly stood up. Out of the 13 people, 3 of them stayed in the tomb forever. When Hey Z heard third Lu's words, he was a little unhappy. He didn't want to think about what happened back then. Who would have thought that the corpse would stand up just because he touched the face? Third brother, don't worry. This time, I guarantee that I won't cause any trouble. If I cause any trouble, then let me stay inside forever, Hey Z said loudly. His mouth was covered by an older youth beside him. Blackie, don't say such inauspicious things. It's not good, the young man said loudly. Third brother, I'll keep an eye on Blackie. I definitely won't take more. That time, they did find a large tomb. The 9 of them went inside, while Lu Xin stayed outside. After an entire hour, the 9 of them still couldn't find the main burial place. What made them feel even more strange was that they didn't even find any traps in such a large tomb. Third brother, we've found the main burial chamber. Come down and take a look, or you'll regret it. Blackie's voice came out from the tomb. Lu Xin fixed the hole and entered the tomb himself. Third brother, look at this jade carving. If you put up for auction, it can fetch at least 100 million. Blackie held a beautiful jade carving in his hand and said loudly to Guopai. Looking at the others, everyone's faces were red and their hands were full of things. Third brother, let's do something big. We won't touch the things in this coffin, but let's take everything in the main burial chamber. What do you think? Big Fool said with a smile. Lu San gritted his teeth and nodded his head. The group of people began to use the bags they brought with them to put the items in. After an entire hour, everyone had a lot of things on them. Some people even joked that after this, they would wash their hands of the gold basin. But at this time, a voice suddenly came from the tomb. The few people who were happy just now were all stunned. They looked around, but couldn't find where the voice came from. If you like it, I'll give it all to you, but you'll have to stay with me. When the second sentence reached everyone's ears, Lu San was the first to react. Following that, the huge sarcophagus opened with a bang and a half-rotten man jumped out. Looking at the man's appearance, everyone couldn't help but feel their stomachs churn. Run! Someone shouted, and the 10 people started to run out. Other than Lu San, the other 9 people had the bag wrapped around their bodies. Lu San did not dare turn back. He could only hear the screams coming from behind. When he saw the entrance of the cave, he suddenly felt something tugging at his calf. Looking down, he saw that it was a severed arm. Lu San didn't have time to react. He immediately kicked the severed arm away and ran out of the tomb. However, none of the 9 youths who followed him came out. 3 days later, Lu San adjusted his mood and once again came to the entrance of the tomb. The entrance had been completely sealed, and it was not the same as it was 3 days ago. There were 9 bags neatly placed on the ground. Lu San did not know how he left in the end, but the 9 bags had brought him an astonishing amount of wealth. His identity had also been washed clean in a few years. He was a famous entrepreneur and philanthropist, and people only knew him as Lu Bushi, but no one thought of him as Lu San anymore. 3 years after that incident, Lu Buji found a black thing on his calf when he was taking a shower. He washed it for a long time, but that thing did not change at all. Lu Buji suddenly thought of the broken hand from 3 years ago. The spot where the black spot was now was where the broken hand had cut him back then, causing Lu Buji to not sleep well that night. Ever since that day, Lu Bougie had not had a good night's rest. For the next 20 years, the zombie king spot didn't appear on my body. However, starting from 3 years ago, the zombie king spot on my calf started to spread rapidly on my body. Lu Bougie shook his head and said, "Mr. Lu, if you didn't touch the things in the remaining bags, this situation wouldn't have happened. Go call Himo. I'll help you control it first. As for how to cure it, we'll talk about it after we're done with the recent matters." Lu Bougie looked at the young man in front of him. This kid was amazing. 10 years ago, his company needed a sum of money for materials. As a last resort, he took out an antique from Dahan's bag and sold it on the black market. Lu Bougie, who had tasted the sweetness, started to sell those things bit by bit until he found that the strange spots on his body were increasing. But by then, it was already a little too late. Lu Bougie quickly ran outside and found Himo, who had already calmed down. Himo nodded lightly to Lu Bougie. He didn't have any impression of this beautiful girl in front of him. But the first sentence she said after entering the room made the fog in Guopai and Lu Bougie's heart slowly clear. That year, Lu Xuanfeng went to the Ghost Doctor sect. The records of the zombie king spot in our Ghost Doctor sect books were obtained from Lu Xuanfeng. Himo said softly. Chapter 225. Little girl, are you from the Ghost Doctor sect? Lu Bushi stood up and looked at Himo and asked softly. Lu Bushi had heard from his grandfather about the Ghost Doctor sect. At that time, he highly praised the Ghost Doctor sect. Himo, you take Mr. Lu to the back. His king corpse spot can only be cured by your Ghost Doctor sect. Guopai thought for a moment and said softly. Then, he handed a piece of paper full of medicinal herbs to Himo. Prepare the herbs on this paper. Let the Zhu take out the wooden barrel and put the herbs in the water. Let Mr. Lu soak in it for 3 days. Himo looked at the herbs on the paper. At first, he was stunned, but then he gently nodded his head. Master, you take a look at this child first. Himo led Lu Bushi out of the room. Shinjeti came in with a middle-aged couple. Beside them stood a pale-faced 8 or 9 years old girl. Master Gua, I beg you, you must save my daughter. The middle-aged woman said with tears in her eyes. Little Xian is only 9 years old. Guopai gently nodded his head. He frowned as he looked at the 9-year-old girl in front of him. If it wasn't for the fact that she was somewhat dull, he wouldn't be able to see what was wrong with this beautiful little girl. Little Xian, right? She shouldn't have been like this since she was born. Guopai softly asked. No, little Xian became like this after her 8th birthday. She used to be lively and cheerful. The day after her birthday, we began to think that she was sick. But when we went to the hospital to check, we couldn't find anything wrong with her. Little Xian's father shook his head and said, Little Xian's father, you're not people from Wu Castle, right? Guopai's eyes never left little Xian. At this moment, Guopai suddenly discovered a strange light flashing in little Xian's eyes. This made Guopai roughly guess the cause of this little girl's symptoms. We're not from the capital. We're from Yaojiang City. We've already traveled around the entire Huaxia. Our relatives in the capital told us that a new clinic had opened in Wu Castle that specializes in treating difficult and complicated diseases. That's why we borrowed money to come here, Xiao Xian's mother said softly. Guopai nodded gently. He could clearly feel the bitterness of the couple in front of him. It seemed that he would not be able to keep his immortal power this time. Master Gua, we just saw Mr. Lu walk out with a happy face. If you can cure his strange illness, you can definitely cure little Xian's illness, right? Little Xian's mother said again. However, Guopai could clearly feel that if he couldn't cure little Xian, this woman's last hope would be completely shattered. I can cure little Xian's illness. You don't have to worry. Guopai nodded gently and smiled at the couple. Master Gua, there's one more thing I have to tell you. After a brief moment of excitement, the middle-aged man calmed down and said softly, Just prepare 1 yuan for the consultation fee. You should have 1 yuan on you, right? Guopai said with a smile. Emperor Jia, tell me the reason why you chose this child. Master, I saw little Xian a year ago. At that time, little Xian's father brought her to our school. At that time, Dean Huang contacted a lot of Western doctors in Wu Castle City for a consultation. However, in the end, they couldn't find a solution even after more than a week. I remember that little Xian's medical record said that her whole body was exhausted. Now that I think about it, it's really ridiculous. Chen Jiadi said helplessly. Emperor Jia, remember, a doctor must always keep your heart. You will be an excellent doctor. Help me put little Xian on the bed. I will tell you what illness little Xian has. Guopai looked at Chen Jiadi and said. Chen Jiadi suddenly felt his heart full of passion. Emperor Jia, get someone to prepare some yellow paper and cinnabar. Then let Dezhu come over. Guopai said with a smile. Chen Jiadi hurriedly ran out. Little Xian's parents looked at Guopai with a puzzled face. In Huaxia, they had visited countless doctors, but they had never met a doctor who used yellow paper and cinnabar. Little Xian is not sick. Her birthday should be September 9th, Guopai said softly. Little Xian's parents nodded excitedly. People have 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls. On little Xian's 8th birthday, a demon spirit entered little Xian's body. She now has 4 spiritual souls. The external demon spirit is stronger, so little Xian behaves like this. Guopai said softly. Little Xian's parents widened their eyes. Master Gua, we have never heard of this thing you said. Are you sure this is the case? Little Xian's father asked softly. At this time, Dezhu came in. Bad master, what's the matter? Dezhu asked casually. I want you to give me some blood. Guopai was not polite and said with a smile. If there was no great witch's blood, this matter would not be easy to deal with. Bad master, you have been in the imperial capital recently. I haven't drunk for a long time. Do you think? Dezhu rubbed his hands and said with a smile. Guopai shook his head helplessly. Dezhu used to be an honest young man. Just because he stayed with Jia Yuan for a few days, he became like this. No, it seems that I have to talk to Dezhu. Dezhu, have I ever not drunk enough wine from you? You should learn well from Jia Yuan. I want to see what you can do. Guopai said helplessly. Thinking of Kong Fei from Violent Dragon, he was much stronger than Dezhu. Brother Yuan said, if there's wine, there's wine, there's wine. I know Bad Master want me to be independent in the future, but I don't think I have that kind of material. Dezhu scratched his head and said, hurry up and take the wine and get out of here. 3 days later, we will go to the Ghost Doctor sect. Come with me. I have found you a good master. Guopai quickly took out 3 drops of Dezhu's blood and threw a wine gourd at Dezhu. Dezhu, whose face was pale, didn't care about the blood he just lost. He took the wine gourd and walked out of the room with a smile. Little Xian's father, today, I want you and your wife to stay here and watch me treat little Xian. I only have one request. Guopai said softly. During the treatment process, don't talk and don't tell anyone. If someone has the same symptoms as little Xian, you can tell them to come to me. Little Xian's parents hurriedly nodded. Chen Jiadi had already prepared the yellow paper and cinnabar according to Guopai's instructions. Guopai mixed the 3 drops of Dezhu's blood and cinnabar into a small gourd. He then took out 9 pieces of yellow paper and muttered something. Suddenly, the yellow paper lit up. At that moment, little Xian sat up from the bed with a painful expression. Little Xian's mother covered her mouth. Then, little Xian lay on the bed again. Guopai reached out and covered the gourd with a pale face. I don't know whose spirit you belong to, but forcibly occupying someone else's body is against the natural law. I won't kill you, and I have already found a soulless person. You should stay in the calabash and absorb the senior Magus blood. I will help you in a few days. If you want to do anything bad, I don't mind destroying your spirit. Guopao said to the calabash in a low voice. The calabash, which had been twitching just now, suddenly quieted down. Chapter 226. Guopao extended his hand and picked up the gourd. The corner of his mouth curled into a smile. He had been searching high and low for it, only to find it by chance. Originally, he was still thinking about how to get some evil spirits for Yen'er. Who would have thought that an evil spirit would come knocking on his door? After visiting the Ghost Doctor sect, he could go to Mount Shu to find Taoist Buer. Mount Shu. Master Gua, how is Xiao Xian now? Is she better? Xiao Xian's father looked at the motionless Xiao Xian and asked softly, Emperor Jia, go and get some Chinese medicine according to this prescription. Boil 3 bowls of water into 1 bowl. Then, transfer $1 million to Xiao Xian's parents. Bring them along. Guo Pai smiled and said, but Xiao Xian's father, don't forget to pay the $1 consultation fee. Our Bagyaku has its own rules. Master Gua, when will Xiao Xian wake up? When Xiao Xian recovers, we don't want a single cent really. We only want Xiao Xian to recover. Xiao Xian's mother said softly. Xiao Xian will recover after you guys pay the consultation fee. Go quickly. Guo Pai smiled and said. Xiao Xian's parents followed Chen Jiadi out. Little girl, I know you're awake. Are you still pretending to be asleep? Just as the 3 of them walked out, Xiao Xian opened her eyes. Big brother, how did you know I was awake? You saved me, right? Xiao Xian said with a smile, revealing 2 canine teeth. This little girl was definitely going to be a beauty. Little girl, that evil spirit stayed in your body for a year. It affected you quite a bit. I know your mind is no longer that of a 9-year-old child. However, I hope you can stay true to yourself. There are some things that I won't say. Since I can cure you, I can also cripple you. Don't do anything too overboard. Sometimes being a normal person is also a kind of happiness. Guo Pai looked at Lin Xinxin and said with a smile, I know. However, I still have to thank you. You're the best doctor I've seen in a year. You're very special. It's like you don't even belong to this planet. Are you an alien? Lin Xinxin asked with a smile. Then, she stuck out her tongue. Guo Pai was speechless. At this moment, Chun Jiadi and the other 2 walked in. Guo Pai finally felt liberated. Dad, Mom, this big brother said this is Wu Castle. What are we doing in Wu Castle? Lin Xinxin asked her parents with a smile. Guo Pai shook his head gently. This little girl was already like this now. When she grew up, she would definitely cause a lot of trouble. Sigh, he had created good karma. Some things would have to be resolved by himself in the end. However, on second thought, he had a lot of things to deal with in the first place. Little Nija had already come to the lower realm. Master Gua, you really are a godly doctor. Godly doctor, thank you for saving our daughter. Thank you so much. Lin Xinxin's mother hugged Lin Xinxin and said with tears in her eyes. Guo Pai looked at the little girl with tears in her eyes and nodded gently. Master Gua, we don't know how to thank you for saving Lin Xinxin. You only took 1 yuan for the consultation fee. I saw the Chinese medicine that Emperor Jia gave me just now. Just those herbs alone cost tens of thousands of yuan. I know what you mean. Lin Yu, will accept this 1 million yuan. After a year, I'll give you the consultation fee and the money. Master Gua, you're definitely a virtuous doctor. Lin Xinxin's father, Lin Yu, said softly. Mr. Lin, you're too serious. I'm just doing what a doctor should do. Just take good care of Lin Xinxin in the future. Guo Pai smiled and said, Lin Xinxin, drink this bowl of Chinese medicine. You can go back with your parents. Big brother, you're asking me to leave, right? Lin Xinxin said with a smile. You can say that. It's because I'm a little busy today. Otherwise, I'd really want to have a good chat with you. Guo Pai said with a smile. The few of them chatted for a while. The little girl said that she would come back when she had time in the future. Guo Pai sent the little girl away with a face full of black lines. This little girl was definitely comparable to little Ling and Mo. Master, please take a look at Sister Sue. She's been here for more than 10 days. Several teachers from the Chinese Medicine Association haven't found out what's wrong with her. Jia Xiao was a shy little girl from the College of Western Medicine. After staying in Bugyaku for a few days, she gradually became more cheerful. Elders, can't you tell that it's an illness? Let her come in first, Guo Pai said softly, stunned. At that moment, a woman with a good figure but covered up tightly walked in. Guo Pai shook his head gently. Covering up so tightly on such a hot day, she would definitely be sick even if she wasn't. Miss Sue, right? Take off your mask and glasses. Otherwise, I can't treat you like this, Guo Pai said with a smile. Master, you have to look carefully. Sister Sue isn't an ordinary person, Jia Xiao said softly as she blinked her eyes. Those who come to my clinic aren't ordinary people. Ordinary people wouldn't come to my clinic if they weren't sick, Guopai said with a smile. Hurry up. Otherwise, we won't be able to finish treating all these people today. The Miss Sue that Guopai was talking about gently took off her glasses and mask. Then, she looked at the expressionless Guopai in shock. Is this person a man? How dare he ignore my beauty? Sit down and give me your hand, Guopai said with a smile. You don't know me? Miss Sue asked with her eyes wide open. Don't you know who I am? I know. You're my patient. Didn't Xiao Xiao just say that you're Miss Sue? Guopai asked with a hint of doubt. Hurry up. Didn't you wait for more than 10 days? Why don't you look anxious at all? Master, you really don't know Sister Sue? Su Qingyi, take a closer look, Jia Xiao Xiao said softly. It doesn't matter if it's Qingyi or Hongyi. Hurry up. If you're not in a hurry, let the people behind you come first. Guopao said impatiently. The girl in front of him looked good, but not to mention even compared to his other daughters-in-law, she seemed to be lacking a lot. In addition, Guopao could feel that the girl in front of him didn't seem to have much self-respect. Others couldn't sense it, but Guopao could sense some things about this girl, even if he didn't use mind reading. Master, I'm impressed. Haven't you heard of Snow Maze City? The song that's being played all over Huaxia, Jia Xiao Xiao said with a black face. Let the snow blind my eyes. I'm in Snow Maze City. Guopai hummed a few lines of the song. It seemed that Jia Xiao Xiao was singing this song because Ume had said it when he was in the Xinyuan family. Yes, that's the song. Sister Sue is the original singer of this song. Boss, everyone in Huaxia, from 5 to 80 years old, is a fan of Sister Sue. How can you not know her? Jia Xiao Xiao whispered. No wonder you covered yourself so tightly. All right, I know who you are. Give me your hand. Let me see what's wrong with you, Guopai said softly, making Su Qingyi and Jia Xiao Xiao's jaws drop again. Su Qingyi was surprised that Guopai didn't recognize her. Guopai thought, I'm already 70 or 80 years old. I've lived for tens of thousands of years. It's normal that I don't recognize you. Miss Sue, do you know what's wrong with you? Guopai said softly. If you don't tell me about your illness, I can only tell you that you're not sick. Chapter 227. Su Qingyi bit her lips lightly as she looked at Guopai. Not only did he not recognize her, he even dared to speak to her with such an attitude. Wasn't he just a stinky doctor? What was there to be cocky about? Guopai saw that Su Qingyi had no intention of saying anything, so he shook his head and said to Jia Xiao Xiao, Xiao Xiao, send Miss Sue off. Next one. I'll talk. Su Qingyi stood up and said, I don't know if this is considered an illness or not, but I keep having the same dream every night. I feel like someone can control my dreams. Do you understand? It's a nightmare. You stole that woman's man, and on the way to their house, you got into a car accident. You didn't die, but a group of people brought you to an old warehouse. Just as you were about to be defiled by them, you woke up. Guopai said softly, Stop talking. You? Who are you? How do you know? Su Qingyi shouted. Then, she stared at Guopao and asked. Jia Xiao Xiao, who was at the side, was stunned. No wonder I feel like I don't have any self-respect. So it's because I stole a married man and treated him like a treasure. Guopai thought to himself. He already knew what was going on with Su Qingyi's situation. During the Tang Dynasty, didn't a bunch of Miao doctors use the same method to confuse people? I already know what illness you have, but whether or not it can be cured depends on whether or not you're willing to cooperate. Guopai said softly. Jia Xiao Xiao's face was filled with excitement, but Su Qingyi's reaction surprised Guopai a little. It's useless. Even if you know what illness it is, you can't cure it. I'm not going to treat it. Su Qingyi picked up her mask and glasses and began to wrap herself up again. Guopai didn't stop her. With his current strength, even if he met the person who poisoned Su Qingyi, he didn't have 100% confidence that he could win. There was a saying that experts were hidden among the people. No matter when, it seemed to be true. Big Sister Sue, the Hall Master, is very amazing. He has cured many difficult and complicated diseases. Why don't you let our Hall Master take a look at you? Jia Xiao Xiao asked softly. Su Qingyi shook her head lightly. Guopai shook his head as well. He's just a married man. If he doesn't fall in love with you, there won't be any problems. Maybe you think you love him and he loves you, but who knows if it's true or not. In the eyes of outsiders, he's after your beauty and you're after his money. But think about it. If he's just a country bumpkin and you're just a buck-toothed girl, can you still have true love? Su Qingyi stopped in her tracks and looked at the cynical Guo Pai. She found it hard to believe that this young man could cure her, but what he said just now was also the truth. Before I met him, he was just a country bumpkin. I met him before I became famous. At that time, he wasn't as rich as he is now. He said that he would marry me, but he never fulfilled his promise. His wife found out about our relationship, and when I returned to Shaanxi with him, I met his wife. She was from the Miao tribe, and she was very pretty. She looked like she was in her 30s, and we had a good chat that day. However, when I returned to the capital, I started having nightmares every day. I told him, but he didn't believe me. Su Qingyi said slowly, "You still don't want to say his name. You love him very much." Guo Pai said softly, "You should have guessed what happened to you. You guessed right. You've been poisoned. That person's wife has a very powerful Miao doctor by her side. I shouldn't have interfered in your affairs, but you're not part of my 6 no doctors. You have feelings for him, but he doesn't. I'll only help you this once. If you're poisoned again after this time, no matter how much you beg me, I won't save you again." Su Qingyi looked at Guo Pai. She finally understood why this man didn't treat her seriously from the beginning. If she was poisoned, a doctor who could cure all kinds of difficult diseases would have his own pride. To put it nicely, she was a celebrity, but to put it bluntly, she was a mistress. She was too different from this young man in front of her. 10 million. I think that man will fork out that much money. Guo Pai said with a smile. Su Qingyi nodded lightly. 10 million. She wouldn't ask that man for it. Although 10 million was a lot to her, she could still afford it. Headmaster Guo, if I break up with that man and his wife poisons me again, will you instinctively save me? Su Qingyi asked softly as she bit her lip. It depends on my mood. I've never been a busybody. If you break up with him, you can come to my clinic to do odd jobs. If someone comes to my clinic to cause trouble, I think I'll do something about it. Guo Pai said with a smile. Su Qingyi nodded lightly. Headmaster, can you really cure Sister Su's goo? Jia Xiaoxiao asked in disbelief. Because she was also from Shaanxi, she knew a little about Miao medicine. She had heard stories about goo since she was young. She didn't believe that Guo Pai could cure this goo, because when she came into contact with Su Qingyi, she guessed that she might have been poisoned. She called her father and asked him. She knew that this goo was called the dream goo. There was no cure. Go prepare a faceplate, put some water in it, and prepare 3 mirrors. You'll know if it can be cured when the time comes. Guo Pai said with a smile. Su Qingyi looked at Guo Pai with a hint of nervousness. She wanted to say something, but she didn't know what to say. We're just a doctor and patient relationship. Moreover, I've already said that the consultation fee is 10 million. I don't want to care about that man, nor do I want to hear about it. Guo Pai said with a smile. At this time, Jia Xiaoxiao had already prepared the things. In a while, I'll put a drop of blood on each of your 10 fingers. Use the 3 mirrors to look at it. Then, you'll sit in this position. No matter what happens, don't make a fuss. Guo Pai said. Su Qingyi stretched out both of her hands. Moments later, blood dripped from all 10 of her fingers into the faceplate. Then, Su Qingyi looked at the mirror and sat in the position that Guo Pai had pointed out. Real body, fake body, good body, evil body. Guo Pai said softly with his eyes closed. Then, a silver needle pierced into Su Qingyi's head. Jia Xiaoxiao covered her mouth because she saw a black insect that seemed to have wings slowly crawling out from Su Qingyi's ear. Don't move, there's another one. Guo Pai didn't speak this time. He directly transmitted his voice to Su Qingyi. Su Qingyi's eyes widened. Just now, Guo Pai's mouth didn't even move. How would he transmit his voice to her? However, she really didn't move at all. 4 winged goo worms and a pair. This thing is really good for killing people. But it's too evil. Big Brother doesn't like this thing. Guo Pai watched as the 2 goo worms flew into the faceplate. Then, the 3 mirrors shone at the faceplate. The goo worms in the basin seemed to have realized that something was wrong, but it was too late. Before they could fly out of the basin, they were pierced by a silver needle. One needle pierced 2 goo worms. Guopai laughed. However, thousands of miles away in a small town in Xiangxi, an old woman over 70 years old suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. She could feel that 2 of her 9 life goo worms were in mortal danger. If they died, her vitality would definitely be greatly damaged. Chapter 228. Lass, the dream goo that you asked me to plant has been captured by someone. It's not dead yet. Go and ask that little girl if you can get it back. Cough, cough, cough. The old woman said softly into the phone before she started coughing again. Auntie, wait for my call. I'll get Zhang Jingtian to ask. In a large villa in the capital, the beautiful woman Su Qingyi mentioned was frowning. She naturally understood the importance of the goo to a meow doctor. Moreover, it was her life goo. If she couldn't get it back, her auntie's vitality would be greatly damaged. Jingtian, there's something I have to tell you. Miao Fengfei dialed her husband's phone. I asked Annie to plant the goo on the girl who followed you home last time. What? What did you say? Miao Fengfei, what did you tell me at that time? You said you wouldn't harm Qingyi. I've already stopped contacting her. Why did you still plant the goo on her? Are you going to plant the goo on me too? Miao Fengfei, let me tell you, I'm tired. When are you free? Let's meet and talk. After saying that, Zhang Jingtian hung up the phone. However, the phone rang again. Zhang Jingtian, I agree to divorce you. However, you have to call Qingyi now and tell her not to hurt those 2 goo. Otherwise, if anything happens in the future, I, Miao Fengfei, won't care. Miao Fengfei shouted into the phone. Zhang Jingtian was stunned. You mean Qingyi got someone to get the goo out? Zhang Jingtian asked in disbelief. He knew what kind of people his wife had around her. He was also very clear about the meow doctor's goo techniques. However, he didn't expect Su Qingyi to get someone to get the goo out. Didn't you say that your wife is fine? Why are you asking me this now? Su Qingyi shouted into the phone. Zhang Jingtian, we're even now. We don't owe each other anything. Stop bothering me. Qingyi, listen to me. Where are you now? Was the goo worm still alive? You must not kill the goo worm. Miao Fengfei has already promised that if you give the goo worm to them, she will agree to divorce me. At that time, we can get married. Zhang Jingtian said with a hint of excitement. Jingtian, how is it? Did that girl find someone to take out the goo worm? Tell her to give me the goo worm, and I promise I won't interfere with you in the future. Miao Fengfei had already returned home and said to Zhang Jingtian with a worried face, Give me the phone. I'll talk to Qingyi. Miao Fengfei grabbed the phone and said loudly, Qingyi, I'm your big sister Fengfei. I was just joking with you, and you took it seriously. Sister Fengfei, I've already cut ties with Zhang Jingtian. From now on, I won't have anything to do with you or him. Please let me go. Su Qingyi said softly, If you want to be with Jingtian, you two can be together. But you have to see if you can give me the goo worm. Are you still at the place where the goo worm was taken out for you? Why don't you give the doctor who took it out for you a call? I'll talk to him, Miao Fengfei said with a smile. However, Zhang Jingtian, who was familiar with Miao Fengfei, immediately understood what she meant. Master Guo, the woman who put the goo in me is looking for you. Su Qingyi looked at Guopai and said softly. Guopai was playing with a silver needle with 2 goo stuck in it. He reached out and took the phone. I wonder which doctor was able to break our goo. Miao Fengfei said with a smile. It's just a small doctor who opened a mediocre clinic. I don't know why you're looking for me. I'm only in charge of treating patients. If you want to treat them, come to Wu Castle to register. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. Guopai said with a smile. Miao Fengfei said with a gloomy face, Boy, I'm not going to waste time with you. Just take care of the 2 goo worms, and I'll send someone to get them tomorrow. Let's forget about this matter. If there's any problem with the goo worms, you don't have to open your clinic anymore. There's no need to open it. Are you threatening me? Then I'm sorry. I, Guopai, am amenable to coaxing, but not coercion. My clinic is on Xinglin Street. It's called Bugyaku. If you come to find me in 3 days, I might be in the clinic. After 3 days, I'll be going out to practice medicine. If you want my clinic to close, bring more people with you. Huh, Guopai said with a laugh. As for the 2 disgusting goo, I'll refine them as medicinal herbs. I spent a lot of effort to get them out. Since they're out, they're mine. I can do whatever I want with them. Don't you dare. Miao Fengfei shouted. You'll know soon enough. After saying that, Guopai hung up the phone. The two Gu that were still struggling on the silver needles trembled. A moment later, there was no trace of life. The moment the two Gu were killed, the old woman from Dr. Miao, thousands of miles away, spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Miao Fengfei felt a sharp pain in her heart. She had been with her aunt for many years. Although she didn't have the heart-linking Gu, she could feel that something had happened to her aunt. Guopai, I'm going to kill you. Bugyaku, just you wait. Miao Fengfei roared. She spat out a mouthful of blood and squatted on the ground. Fengfei, are you okay? Zhang Jingtian asked softly as he looked at Miao Fengfei, who was vomiting blood. Get lost. Go find your little girl. She offended Dr. Miao. I like to see how long she can live, Miao Fengfei said fiercely. Dr. Miao and Gu, I don't want to provoke you. You'd better not provoke me, Guopai said softly. Su Qingyi looked at the cynical Guopai. Although she didn't know how powerful Dr. Miao was, it was enough to make her have the same nightmare every day. Since she had nothing to do recently, she was prepared to lie low in Bugyaku for a while. Xiao Xiao, decoct some Chinese medicine for Miss Su according to this prescription. Then, bring her to the guest room at the back to rest. All right, don't forget to pay the consultation fee. If you're planning to stay in Bugyaku for a long time, you'll have to pay $10,000 a day for accommodation and food, Guopai said with a smile as he put the two Gu into his small jade bottle. Don't worry, Principal Guo. I'll pay you all the money you deserve, Su Qingyi said with a smile. As she walked out, she winked at Guopai. Guopai smiled disdainfully. She was just a small celebrity. She was too different from you. Although the following patients were all difficult to treat, they didn't show symptoms like the previous patients. This sped up Guopai's treatment process. At 6 in the evening, he had already treated 49 patients. There was only one patient left to complete his plan for the day. Guopai, take a look at this little guy. Lu Yaosher led a boy who was about 11 or 12 years old into the room. Guopai stood up abruptly. Yaosher, come here first. Guopai didn't wait for Lu Yaosher to say anything and pulled her into the room. Lu Yaosher looked at Guopai in shock. If this principal wanted to do something to her, she didn't care. Don't be afraid. I'm just curious. Did this child come to Bugyaku on his own, or did he follow someone else? Guopai asked softly. After you left Wu Castle, I saw him loitering in front of our clinic. His complexion was very bad. Recently, President Lin gave him some medicine and his complexion improved. I gave him an appointment and was waiting for you to take a look at him, Lu Yaosher said softly. Yaosher, you can go back first. Ask him to come into the room. His illness is very special. I need some peace, Guopai said softly. Chapter 229. I won't cause trouble. This is my patient. I need to know what's going on with him. Lu Yaosher said softly. Guopai shook his head gently. Just follow me. You won't be able to see anything anyway. Big brother, I want to know about my past. After entering the room, the little boy looked at Guopai and asked softly. Lu Yaosher's eyes widened. The child in front of her had been following her for so long without saying a word. At first, she thought that the child might be deaf and mute. However, it didn't seem to be the case. The past is the past. Since you've forgotten it, don't think about it anymore, Guopai said softly. But I want to know, the little boy continued stubbornly. You might not be happy if you know, Guopai said softly. I don't know if I'll be happy or not. I only know that if I don't even know who I am, what's the point of living? The little boy said softly. Guopai looked at the sloppily dressed little boy in front of him. Others couldn't tell what was different about him. Perhaps in the entire world, only Guopai could tell what was different about this little guy. He was in the fusion stage and was suppressed by a special energy. If he guessed correctly, this little boy must have encountered some trouble during his tribulation, which led to his current appearance. What was the fusion stage? Acquired, Sciention, enlightened. Inedia, golden core, nascent soul, astral projection, soul branching, fusion, tribulation transcendence, great success, ascension, celestial immortal, mystic immortal, true immortal, golden immortal, Tai mystic immortal, Tai golden immortal, almighty golden immortal, quasi-sage, severing one corpse and two corpses, chaos almighty golden immortal sage, Wuji grand sage, heavenly Tao, chaotic heavenly sage, great Tao. In the human world, there were only a handful of people who could cultivate to the immediate stage. Now, there was a fusion stage expert. How could Guopai not be surprised? Do you really want to know about your past? I can help you, but you have to trust me 100%. I will use my divine sense to enter your brain. If you have any evil thoughts, we will all die, Guopai said as he narrowed his eyes at the smiling boy. Big brother, I don't understand what you mean, but I will fully cooperate with you, the little boy said softly. All right, then Guopao will bet on it, Guopao said softly. Lu Yaoshi's eyes widened. She had only heard the last sentence, and they were all going to die. How are they going to treat this child? It was actually so serious. Scoundrel Wu, although I don't know how you're going to treat this little brother, and I don't understand what you're talking about, I hope you can seriously consider it. If it's too dangerous, why don't we think of another way? Lu Yaoshi said softly, her voice growing softer and softer. This is your patient. Since you brought him here, and I've made it clear to him, why don't you treat him? Guopai said with a smile. Since I can meet such an interesting patient here, I don't care if he dies. Darling, you didn't look for me when you came back to Wu Castle. Just now you said he would die. Do you want me and my sisters to be widows? Yua pushed the door open and came in. Guopai was speechless. Yua must have seen this little boy. With Yua's strength, she must have seen something. Most importantly, he really didn't look for Yua when he came back from the capital. Yua's wife, what are you talking about? I'm a doctor. Doctors have the heart of a parent. Of course, we should put saving lives and healing the wounded first, and put love affairs behind. Don't you think so? Guopai said to Yua with a smile. Big sister, I have been looking for you for a long time. Why are you hiding from me? The little boy looked at Yua and asked in a low voice. When Guopai had just gone to the capital, Yua felt an inexplicable pressure in Wu Castle. Out of curiosity, Yua went in the direction of the pressure, but found nothing. She only found this little boy. At that time, Yua was startled. She didn't care about things that she shouldn't care about. Yua just gave the little boy a meridian-opening pill and left after making sure that he wouldn't die. However, the little boy found her again later. Later, Yua kept hiding for the little boy. Little boy, I can't do anything about you. You heard what my husband said. He is so powerful, but he might die together with you. How can I do anything about it? Yua said with a smile. Husband, are you really going to use the little thing you have left to help him find his past and present life? Yua, since we are here, don't care about those things. I have lived for 100 years. I suddenly thought of some other ways to live. Guopai said with a smile. Lu Yaoshi didn't understand. The little boy looked pensive. Up to you. I need to leave a little bit of it. Otherwise, if there is really any danger, who will save you? Yua said softly. Yua, I will tell you something interesting later. I will help him find his past and present life first. Guopai said softly. Yua nodded slightly. This mind-reading true monarch was really as described by the people in the heavenly court. Stubborn, really stubborn. Little boy, I hope you don't do anything that will make me misunderstand. Otherwise, big sister won't be polite to you. Yua looked at the smiling boy and said softly. The little boy smiled faintly. Although he didn't know what this big sister meant, this big sister was really beautiful. Yua pulled the unwilling Lu Yaoshi out of the room. Then, she called Zhou Tianyang and Qin Fengyu to stand outside the room with her. 2 fasting experts and 1 Yua who could easily deal with a fasting expert. This kind of lineup could be considered the first in Huaxia. Let's get ready. Guopai put a 9-colored pill in his mouth. This was the limit of what he could take. Searching for someone's past and present life was easier in the heavenly court. But in the mortal realm, Guopai had to be prepared. The little boy looked at Guopao and slowly closed his eyes as if he was deep in thought. All these actions did not seem to be controlled by his brain at all. Guopao sent a strand of immortal energy into the little boy's body. Old Taoist Tong Yuan, How dare you steal my magic treasure? No matter where you run to, I will find you. A Taoist in white robes shouted at the back of a tattered figure. I will repay what I owe your mountain in the future. But let me borrow this 9 underworlds mountain and river painting to resist the heavenly tribulation. If I succeed in overcoming the heavenly tribulation, the orthodoxy of the mortal realm will belong to your mountain. The old Taoist in tattered robe shouted. Abbess, please forgive me. I hope I can borrow your heavenly peaking mirror. At the peak of Mount Amay, the old man in tattered robes stood opposite 9 abbesses of Mount Amay. Taoist Tong Yuan held a mirror of unknown material in his hand and said shamelessly, Taoist Tong Yuan, how is this borrowing? This is daylight robbery. Just as the 9 abbesses were about to surround Taoist Tong Yuan, he took out some kind of magic treasure and disappeared from the peak of Mount Amay. Abbess Exen, if I succeed in overcoming the heavenly tribulation, the orthodoxy of the mortal realm will belong to your Mount Amay. Abbess Exin shook her head. Mao Mountain had sent her a telepathic message in advance. She didn't expect Taoist Tong Yuan to be so shameless. Then came the Vajra demon, subduing ring of Shaolin Mountain of Shaosher Mountain, the 7 stars 8 trigrams painting of Wudong Mountain, and the 9 profound golden pill of Yunluo Temple at the peak of Mount Tai. In less than half a year, all the good things in Huaxia have been taken away by someone called Taoist Tong Yuan. Taoist Tong Yuan? That sounds familiar. All right, I know who you are. You are that shameless old Taoist who wanted to become a zenith heaven golden immortal after overcoming the heavenly tribulation. Guopai suddenly knew who this little boy was in his previous life. Wasn't he the guy who used a magic treasure to resist the heavenly tribulation and attracted the wrath of the heavens? Chapter 230. Guopai channeled his immortal energy bit by bit into the little boy's mind. Gradually, the information regarding Taoist Tong Yuan was transmitted back to Guopai's mind. Shameless. Truly shameless. Let me see how you ended up like this. Guopai mumbled to himself. Thousands of years ago, on a small island in the South Sea, the old Taoist Tong Yuan sat on a huge 8 trigrams diagram. The 9 heavenly thunders fell as if they were worthless. The old Taoist Tong Yuan threw the magic treasures in his hands into the air one by one to block the heavenly thunders. What was even more hateful was that the old Taoist even made a pot of good wine and seemed to have 4 cold and 8 hot dishes. 9 waves, heavenly lightning, tribulation. After this, I will ascend to the heaven realm and become a zenith heaven golden immortal. Back then, when I ascended to the heaven realm, I was only a primordial unity golden immortal. But now, I'm even stronger than a living immortal. Taoist Tong Yuan mumbled to himself. In about 24 hours, Taoist Tong Yuan had lost count of how many 9 waves heavenly lightning he had managed to block. In any case, he had at least 100 magic treasures with him. Just as the 9 waves heavenly lightning tribulation ended, Taoist Tong Yuan felt a guiding force. What else could it be other than the sign of ascension? However, what happened next had both Taoist Tong Yuan and Guopai widening their eyes. Taoist Tong Yuan's nascent soul left his body, and the 9 waves' heavenly wrath appeared all of a sudden. Taoist Tong Yuan was reduced to ashes by the 9 waves' heavenly wrath. Next, Guopai saw a remnant soul enter the 8 trigrams diagram beneath his feet. After that, the 8 trigrams diagram drifted for a long time in the Southern Ocean. Finally, this remnant soul escaped the pursuit of the black and white impermanence and entered the little boy's body. Cough, cough, cough. He's really lucky to be able to survive the 9 waves' heavenly wrath. Back in the heavenly court, I could even feel the pressure of the 9 waves' heavenly wrath. This Taoist Tong Yuan is really lucky. Guopai retracted his divine sense and coughed violently. He finally understood the past and present lives of this little boy. Husband, are you all right? Yuer felt that Guopai had lost all of his immortal energy. She flew into the room and hugged Guopai as she asked softly. Guopai's eyes were tightly shut. However, Yu suddenly felt a wolf's hand appear between her breasts. Her beautiful eyes immediately widened. This lecher still didn't forget to take advantage of her even now. I'll need you to protect me from now on. This little boy in front of us has quite the background, Guo Pai said with a smile. What's his background? Yu asked in a low voice, ignoring Guo Pai's bad hand. All the Wuxiu sects in Huaxia have been looking for this person for thousands of years. Do you think his background is big or not? If someone knew that he was still alive, the black and white impermanence probably wouldn't even need to come. He wouldn't even be left with dregs. Guo Pai said softly. Tong Yuan, are you still pretending? After absorbing so much immortal energy from this young master, are you going to break up with me just like that? I really didn't expect to meet a heavenly immortal in this lower realm. This old Taoist thanks you for today's matter. The little boy stood up and bowed deeply towards Guo Pai. His tone and expression caused Guo Pai and Yu to widen their eyes. However, it wasn't wrong. For a guy who had lived for thousands of years, it wasn't wrong for him to do such a thing. Tong Yuan, since I know that you have your past and present life, and that your strength has recovered quite a bit, then Bugyaku, won't keep you. Guo Pai said with a smile. As for the consultation fee, when you find the magic treasures that you didn't use back then in the South Sea, just casually give me 30 to 50 of them. Heavenly Immortal must be joking. With this old Taoist's current strength, I think it's better for me to stay in Bugyaku. Heavenly Immortal wouldn't be so heartless as to reject a homeless child like me, right? The little boy said softly, your surname is Guo. In the future, my surname will be Guo as well. Heavenly Immortal can just call me Tong Yuan. Guo Pai looked at the little boy in front of him, thinking back to that shameless Taoist Tong Yuan from his past and present life. He guessed that it would be useless no matter what he said. However, there were still many benefits. Although this Tong Yuan was only at the Xiantian realm, for someone like him to be able to cultivate to the fusion realm, as long as he had sufficient spiritual energy and good karma, there would be no bottlenecks at all. Within 100 years, he might even be able to enter the fusion realm again. Just thinking about it was enough to make Guo Pai excited. If you wish to stay here, then stay. But let's make things clear first. You'll stay here obediently. If you cause any trouble, you'll have to bear the consequences yourself. Guo Pai said with a smile. Bad guy, if someone wants to find trouble with me, don't you have to step in? Tong Yuan called out, bad guy, very sensibly, causing Guo Pai to laugh heartily. This was life in the human world. After treating the 50 patients, Guo Pai gathered all the students together and began to analyze the symptoms of each patient. Tong Yuan was naturally at the side. He suddenly added a sentence, causing everyone to stare at this little boy with their eyes wide open. Whether it was medical knowledge, pharmacology, or some difficult diseases, he directly supplemented the parts that Guo Pai did not explain clearly. Headmaster, will this little brother be staying in Bugyaku in the future? Chen Jiadi asked softly. I forgot to introduce him to everyone. He's Tong Yuan, my junior brother from the same sect. Due to some reasons, he came to Wu Castle and will be staying in Bugyaku for the time being. My junior brother has extremely high attainments in medical skills. If you have any questions, you can ask him directly. There's no need to be polite with him. Guo Pai said with a smile. Tong Yuan's face darkened. He originally wanted to freeload some food and drink for a period of time. Now he was going to be busy. Emperor Jia, go out and put up a notice. From tomorrow onwards, treat 150 people every day. Add another 50 people to junior brother Tong Yuan. I think junior brother Tong Yuan will be very happy to help the dying and the injured. Ha! Guo Pai said with a laugh. Under the expectant gazes of the 20 students, Tong Yuan nodded lightly and put on the appearance of an expert. Yu couldn't help but laugh. After Chan Jeti sent out the notice, the whole Xinglin street was in an uproar again. An extremely strong power of merit directly fell on Guo Pai. Guo Pai looked at Tong Yuan enviously. The next morning, Bugyaku opened its doors. Those who had already received the registration number were already queuing up. If some people didn't believe in Guo Pai's medical skills because of his young age, Then the appearance of Guotong Yuan made everyone's eyes widen. The 5 presidents of the Chinese Medicine Association appeared together in Bugyaku. After Guotong Yuan treated 5 difficult patients, everyone looked at Guotong Yuan as if they were looking at a monster. This old fellow dared to pretend, acting as if he was an expert. For 3 consecutive days, although there were still a lot of people outside Bugyaku, Guopai was relieved that Guotong Yuan was treating patients in Bugyaku. In the evening, after teaching all the students, he asked Mo to stay alone. The two of them discussed the matter of going to the Ghost Doctor sect. Mo looked at Guopai with great excitement and almost wanted to marry him. Of course, student Guopai finally went home with Are you really going to the Ghost Doctor sect tomorrow? Do you need me to follow you? After a while, Yu was lying in Guopai's arms and asked softly, No need. I'll let Daju and Qin Fengyu follow me. You can stay in Wu Castle. Guopai said with a smile. Xiao Hiemo almost married you today. Are you afraid that I will delay your good deeds? A stud horse through and through. Yu said with a pout. Guopai's face was full of black lines. Was his brother such a person? All right, I forgot to tell you something interesting. Guopai said with a smile. What can make Lord Tai Bai jinxing feel interesting? Yu said with a smile. The 3rd prince also came to the lower realm. Don't you think it's interesting? Guopai said with a smile. What? Are you talking about the 3rd prince Neza? Does he also have a hobby of peeping? Chapter 231. As soon as Yu finished speaking, Shui Exan, who was far away in the imperial capital, felt her stomach move violently. She then took a big gulp of wine from the gourd, and her stomach gradually calmed down. Of course, Guopai and Yu in Wu Castle did not know about this. Guopai then told Yu about the things that happened in the imperial capital. Yu was very open-minded about it. If there's a great demon, then there is a great demon. Since the heavenly court sent people down, then it has nothing to do with them. Yu, this time I won't let you follow me to the Ghost Doctor sect. With Qin Fengyu, there shouldn't be any problems. Guopai said with a smile. Yu nodded lightly. Although Guopai had lost all his immortal energy and his strength was only at the peak of the Xiantian realm, with Guopai's current methods, it was more than enough to deal with ordinary fasting experts. There was nothing to worry about going to the Ghost Doctor sect this time. The next morning, Mo changed his clothes, causing Guopai's eyes to light up. On the other hand, Qin Fengyu saw through Mo at a glance and smiled at him. Old man, what were you smiling at just now? Guopai drove while Mo sat in the front passenger seat. Qin Fengyu and Zhu sat in the back. Guopai asked with a smile. Little bad, your Bugyaku is not simple. The next young master of the Ghost Doctor sect is with you. Don't you know? Guopai's gaze once again fell on Mo. He only knew that Mo was a member of the Ghost Doctor sect, but he did not expect his position to be so high. Grandpa Qin is joking. In these years, the Ghost Doctor sect has been declining day by day. Grandpa has no choice but to pass the position of sect master to me. Mo said softly, Don't worry, leave the matter of the Ghost Doctor sect to me. Also, as I told you before, if you want me to completely cure the hidden poison in your body, you have to be my woman. Otherwise, I won't be able to help you. Guopai said softly. Mo's face turned red. There were other people in the car, which made Mo a little embarrassed. Qin Fengyu didn't feel anything, but Daju's eyes widened. Zhu Zi, this time when we go to the Ghost Doctor sect, Big Brother will have to take your blood again. However, it seems like Big Brother has not treated you unfairly these days, right? Haha, Guopai said with a smile. Hee, bad master. It's fine as long as there's wine. Shuedazhu said stupidly. If he wasn't sitting at the back, Guopai's fist would have already landed on his body. I estimate that we will arrive at the Ghost Doctor sect at noon tomorrow. Take this pill. Big Brother has put in a lot of effort. Guopai threw a 7-colored pill to the back, causing Qin Fengyu's eyes to widen. Zhu Zi, don't eat it yet. Let this old man take a look at this pill. Qin Fengyu said softly. Shuedazhu was very generous and directly handed the pill to Qin Fengyu. Little bad, the 2 shadows on this pill Are they the goo sex, goo shadows? Qin Fengyu asked softly. If it was really the goo shadows, then this pill was very powerful. This Guopai was really generous. He actually used goo insects to make medicine. What a waste. It's the goo sex, goo insects. That day, the female celebrity that Yaosher brought over was poisoned. A few Miao doctors said something that made this young master unhappy, so I used their goo insects to refine medicine. Guopai said it very casually, but Qin Fengyu was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. The Miao doctors and the goo sect were closely related. This time, he offended the Miao doctors. He was afraid that Bugyaku wouldn't be peaceful for a few days. Although he wasn't afraid of the goo sex people in terms of strength, if the goo sex people were to play dirty, he wouldn't be able to protect himself. Old master, don't worry. If they dare to find trouble with this young master, I will be worried that I don't have any goo insects to refine medicine. If they come, then come. The more the better. Guopai said with a smile. Qin Fengyu shook his head gently. Qin Fengyu returned the pill to Shuedezhu. Shuedezhu didn't care whether it was a goo insect or not. He directly put it in his mouth. Suddenly, a powerful aura filled his meridians, making him widen his eyes. Calm your mind and feel this power. If you can understand this power, I will help you break through to the innate realm before we go to the Ghost Doctor sect. Dazhu, think about it. A master of the enlightening realm who is less than 20 years old. When you see your grandfather again, you'll be so awesome. Guopai said with a smile. Shuedezhu nodded fiercely and entered into a meditative state. This kid is really good. Ha! Qin Fengyu said with a smile. Guopai didn't say much and started to run towards the Ghost Doctor sect. Master, you take a rest. I will drive. Guopai drove for about 20 hours. Hiemo said softly. Guopai shook his head. The roads were all mountainous and it was getting harder to travel. If he let H.E. Missouri drive, Guopai wouldn't be at ease. After about 6 hours, the car stopped in front of a villa. Looking around, this place was really not bad. It was twice as big as the Gu clan's old mansion in the capital. Guopai took a deep breath. Finally, we are here. Little Mo, you can go down first. Guopai woke up Hiemo, who was still sleeping. Hiemo looked at the familiar scene in front of him. He was really back at the Ghost Doctor sect again. He hadn't been back for a whole year. Brother Hui, I am Little Mo. I am back. Hiemo shouted at the big guy standing at the door. The big guy ran over quickly. You are really Little Mo? Your face. Hurry up and open the door. I brought the master of our clinic here today. He will help everyone in the Ghost Doctor sect get rid of the scars on their faces. In the future, the Ghost Doctor sect will no longer be troubled by bad karma. Hiemo said excitedly. The big guy looked at Qin Fengyu in the car and nodded lightly. Master, Grandpa Qin, please get down. The Ghost Doctor sect doesn't allow cars to drive in. Hiemo said softly. Shuedezhu also woke up and smiled at Guopai. Guopai also laughed. That's right, the effects of the pill were all absorbed by Shuedezhu. He was only one step away from the enlightened realm. Grandpa, Little Mo is back. Hui led Guopao and the other three into the stronghold. There were many people walking back and forth in the stronghold in the afternoon. When they saw that Emo's face had recovered, they were all shocked, especially some of the female doctors in the stronghold. Little Emo is back. An old man of about 70 years of age appeared in front of the four of them. He was at the early stage of anedia. This made Guopao smile slightly. It seems that the Ghost Doctor sect being able to defend this stronghold on this mountain was due to this old man's contributions. Yuenjia, do you still recognize this old man? Before Guopai could say anything, Qin Fengyu took a step forward and said with a smile. Qin Fengyu, haha, I never thought that I would be able to see you in my life. Are you the master of the clinic that my granddaughter mentioned? You haven't even cured your own hidden illness. How can you help the Ghost Doctor sect? The sect master of the Ghost Doctor sect, Yuenjia, didn't give Qin Fengyu any face and said with a smile. Old He, how do you know that my hidden illness hasn't been cured? Why don't we spar? After Qin Fengyu finished speaking, his aura suddenly increased, causing Yuenjia to widen his eyes. Your hidden illness has been cured? Who cured you? Did you really start to study medicine? Impossible. I know your skills very well. Yuanjie shook his head and said, Grandpa Qin isn't our master. He is our master. Grandpa Qin's injuries were also cured by our master. Mo smiled and pointed at Guopai. This time, Yuanjie's eyes widened even more. Chapter 232. Excellent. The young man in front of him was really excellent. He was younger than Mo, but he was already a master at the peak of the Xiantian realm. But if you say that he can cure the hidden disease of a master of fasting, even if you beat me to death, I won't believe it. Yuanjie secretly thought in his heart, and a pressure fell on Guopai's body. Old master, you're injured, yet you still put pressure on me. Aren't you afraid that I'll get angry and ignore the life and death of your ghost doctor sect? With that, Guopai's figure flashed. It seemed simple, but the pressure just now couldn't fall on Guopai's body. Yuanjie gently nodded to Guopai in front of him and withdrew his pressure. Grandpa, our master is a guest. What were you doing just now? Mo said with a trace of anger. Little girl, you've only been out for a year, but you're already helping outsiders. Yuanjie said with a smile. Let's go inside and talk slowly. Mo's face was red as he watched everyone run into the house as if they were escaping. A few of them laughed out loud. Little you, did you really cure Qin Fengyu's hidden disease? Several people sat in the room, and Yuanjie asked with a smile. It was just a fluke, Guopai replied with a smile. It seems that old master he still doesn't believe in this kid's medical skills. Why don't you let this kid take your pulse and let me see what's going on with your body? Let me see. Can you see my problem? Yuanjie asked with a trace of expectation. Look, listen, question, and feel the pulse. The old man's eyebrows are black, his left eye has a blood clot, and his ear is blue. Recently, his body must have a problem. Guopai said with a smile. Bad master, why didn't you say that the old man also has a blue skin on his forehead? Daju whispered, but everyone in the room heard it. That blue skin was touched by the old man this morning. It's not an illness, Guopai said with a smile. Everyone in the room burst into laughter. Yuanjie touched his forehead. This bruise was indeed caused by him hitting the door frame after drinking too much this morning. Cough, cough. Then help me take a look and see what exactly is wrong with my body. If you can get one thing right, this old man will acknowledge you as his grandson-in-law. Yuanjie said with a smile. Mo reached out and pinched the soft flesh under the old man's armpit. Yuanjie couldn't laugh anymore. Guopai was not polite and directly put his finger on Yuanjie's wrist. A moment later, he frowned. Yuanjie secretly rejoiced in his heart. This old man is already at the fasting stage and can change my pulse at will. I don't believe you can see anything. Old man, if you continue to change your pulse, you have no sincerity at all. I think this time, the matter of the ghost doctor sect is this kid's business. Tomorrow morning, I will return to Wu Castle. There are a lot of patients waiting for this kid to treat, Guopai said with a smile. Hey, since this kid can see that I changed my pulse, not bad, not bad. You pass, Yuanjie said with a smile. However, Guopai's next words made Yuanjie's eyes widen again. Although you changed your pulse just now, this kid also saw some problems in your body. How much I can see, this kid will treat it. Because of the old man, I can't see it, so this kid won't treat it, Guopai said with a smile. He then put his finger on Yuanjie's body. After about 10 minutes, Yuanjie was sweating profusely. Guopai stuffed a pill into his mouth. The injuries and hidden diseases mentioned by Guopai were mostly healed. However, Yuanjie knew in his heart that his biggest injury was because of himself. Guopai did not see it. This time, he really smashed his own foot with a stone. Mo, we have arrived at your house. Along the way, Big Brother did not eat anything. How about you let Big Brother eat something delicious first? Your grandfather's body is almost healed. As for the others, we can talk about it tomorrow, Guopai said with a smile. Mo gently nodded. Looking at his grandfather's face full of regret, he laughed. Grandpa, how is our master of Bugyaku? Let me tell you, what he showed you just now was only superficial. Tomorrow, you will know what Guopai is capable of. Himo said with a smile. Then, he went to arrange the meal. Dad, I heard from the door that Xiaoma is back. Where is she? Why is she back now? Didn't you tell her that the people from the Four Symbols sect have been looking for trouble recently? A middle-aged man walked quickly into the living room and asked Yuanjia loudly. Yuanshan, my eldest son, Xiaoma's father, bad boy. Why didn't you say anything when you saw your father-in-law? Yuanjia said with a smile. Yuanshan's eyes widened. What? I'm Xiaoma's father, but my daughter isn't married yet. What do you mean by that? Then he saw Guo Pao's smug face and understood what was going on. He's Xiaoma's boyfriend? Yuanshan pointed at Guo Pai and asked in a low voice. Hello, uncle. Xiaoma is now working in my clinic. I am her master and also her friend. Guo Pao said with a smile. Compared to the fact that Mo did not agree to be his woman, Guo Pao understood that a forcefully harvested melon would not be sweet. Boy, you're my daughter's boyfriend? Being the son-in-law of my He clan is not easy. You're not bad. You're at the peak of the Xiantian realm. However, this is the Ghost Doctor sect. We don't care about the strength of martial cultivators. If you want to be the son-in-law of my He clan, you'll have to surpass my clinic in terms of medical skills, Yuanshan said to Guo Pao. Then I will. I thought you had some special requirements. I have never seen anyone better than my bad grandpa when it comes to medical treatment. Before Guo Pai could speak, Shuedeju squinted his eyes and said. At this time, Yuanshan discovered that there was a big man here. Then, his gaze fell on Qin Fengyu. Uncle Qin, is that you? Yuanshan asked in a low voice. He had seen Qin Fengyu once when he was young. It had been almost 30 years since then, so he asked with uncertainty. Little Shan, I didn't expect you to recognize this old man. Haha, I'm just here to watch the show. You do what you need to do. If this boy cannot pass your test, then don't let your daughter marry him. Qin Fengyu said with a smile. Since Uncle Qin said so, then I will boldly see what this boy is capable of. Yuanshan said loudly. He shouted towards the door, and two people came in. Father, Little Feng, and Little You were picking herbs in the back mountain and were beaten up by the Four Symbols sect. Yuanshan said with a trace of anger. Ah, Guo Pai stood up and walked towards the two youths. Then, the two youths let out a few painful groans. Guo Pai once again returned to his seat. Stinking brat, don't think that just because you followed Uncle Qin to my Ghost Doctor sect, you could do whatever you want. Someone like you wants to marry my daughter? Dream on. Yuanshan still wanted to say something, but the two youths stood up. Uncle, our arms have been reconnected. It doesn't hurt at all. The two youths shook their arms and whispered to Yuanshan with a trace of surprise. What do you mean reconnected? They are messing with you. Can't you see? Yuanshan still hadn't realized what was going on and loudly said. Then, he seemed to understand. What are you screaming for? You were just picking herbs and your arms were broken. How embarrassing. Hurry up and scram. Chapter 233. A few people who saw through him laughed. Yuanshan was also a genius. Brat, I didn't see it. You have some skills, but fixing bones is nothing. After we're done with the Four Symbols sect, I'll think about you in Xiaoma, Yuanshan whispered. Think about it? What are you thinking about? You don't have the final say in the Ghost Doctor sect. Yuanjia looked at his son. Yuanjia looked at his son and said. The strength of the young man in front of him had completely convinced him. If he could really marry Mo and become the son-in-law of the Ghost Doctor sect, it would be a good choice. Father, give me some face in front of outsiders. You know that the Four Symbols sect is looking for trouble this time. It's all because the young master of the Four Symbols sect has taken a fancy to Xiaoma, Yuanshan whispered. So what if he's taken a fancy to her? Do they dare to come and snatch her? Are you going to send your daughter to the Four Symbols sect as a bargaining chip? Yuanjia said loudly. Yuanshan stopped talking. Guo Pai's impression of this old man improved. This old man was not bad, much better than his handsome wife's Lin family. Old man, you're an expert in the fasting period. Is there anyone in the Four Symbols sect who's stronger than you? Guo Pai asked with a smile when he saw that no one was talking. Little bad, you're in Wu Castle, so you might not know much about us. Perhaps in the secular world, people in the enlightening period are already considered experts. It's rare to see someone in the fasting period, but in fact, there are many wuxiu in Huaxia. In this deep mountain, there are at least 8 or 9 people in the fasting period. The 4 sect masters of the 4 symbol sect are all in the fasting period, and their strength is not below mine. If the 4 of them work together, I'm afraid that old Brother Qin won't be able to defeat them, he Yuanjie said with a hint of helplessness. Guopai also understood the meaning of his words. The 4 symbols sect was not weak. Even with old Master Qin, it would be difficult to deal with them. Old Master, the Ghost Doctor sect focuses on medicine, supplemented by martial arts. However, the accumulation of karma over the past 1,000 years has greatly affected you. Why don't you let me take your pulse again? Guopai said with a smile. He Yuanjie's eyes widened. The fact that Guopai could say the word karma was far beyond He Yuanjie's understanding. He's just a kid whose hair hasn't even grown out yet. What'd he do by taking his pulse? He Yuanshan muttered in a low voice. He Yuanjie reached out and slapped him. Get out. I really wonder how little Mo could have such a forgetful father like you, He Yuanjie said resentfully. What are you going out for? I want to see what kind of tricks this kid has up his sleeve. Uncle Qin, I'm sitting here with you. You're the one who brought him here, right? Who is this brat? He Yuanshan asked in a low voice. Qin Fengyu didn't answer. He just quietly watched Guopai take He Yuanjie's pulse. After half an hour, He Yuanjie didn't make any trouble this time. Guopai's face was expressionless as he gently retracted his fingers. Looking carefully, his back was already drenched in sweat. Little bad, you rest first. Others couldn't feel it, but He Yuanjie did feel it. Guopai's 3 fingers were on his pulse. However, every time Guopai raised and lowered his fingers, a trace of internal strength entered his body and then slowly returned from his meridians. This kind of pulse-reading technique was not recorded in the ancient books of the Ghost Doctor sect. Deliberately mystifying, the old master is really old and confused. He Yuanshan said softly. He Yuanjie sent a stream of inner strength through the air, directly hitting his son's body. He Yuanshan's eyes widened. That attack just now was full of inner strength. The old man seemed to be much stronger than before. The medicinal strength of the pill Guopai gave He Yuanjie had been completely absorbed. Although his hidden injuries had not healed, his strength had increased by at least 30%. He Yuanjie immediately felt the difference in his body. He Yuanjie looked at Guopai, and in his heart, he was even more convinced of this young man's medical skills. Old master, the feeling of karma is not good, right? If you can reach the pinnacle of Anidia, it shouldn't be a problem for you and Master Qin to deal with 4 mid-stage Anidia experts. Guopai narrowed his eyes and said. Qin Fengyu suddenly stood up. He understood Guopai's meaning. This kid actually wanted to directly raise He Yuanjie's cultivation by 2 levels. This was not the Xiantian realm. How could it be possible to raise one's cultivation by 2 levels in Anidia? Little bad, if I can really reach the pinnacle of Anidia, there is no need for Brother Qin. I can deal with the 4 old bastards of the 4 symbols sect by myself. He Yuanjie stood up and said. He didn't know why, but he actually felt that Guopai could really help him reach the pinnacle of Anidia. How many enlightened experts are there in the Ghost Doctor sect? Also, how many peak Xiantian experts are there? I need to know the exact number. Guopai asked softly. He Yuanshan couldn't help but pull He Yuanjie back. These things were the top secret of the Ghost Doctor sect. If they really told this kid, the Ghost Doctor sect would be in trouble in the future. Since you can enter my Ghost Doctor sect, there are no outsiders. There is no harm in telling you. He Yuanjie waved his hand and said softly. He knew the current situation of the Ghost Doctor sect better than anyone else. If the matter of the 4 symbols sect could not be solved, the Ghost Doctor sect would be finished sooner or later. The Ghost Doctor sect has 53 disciples in the Xiantian realm. Among them, 13 are at the pinnacle of Xiantian realm. There are 9 disciples in the enlightened realm. Among them, 3 are at the pinnacle of enlightened realm. This is the Ghost Doctor sect's last hope. He Yuanjie said softly. Old man, call everyone here at 1 in the afternoon. I will help you solve the problem of your negative karma. What realm you can break through to will depend on your luck. The other disciples of the Ghost Doctor sect who are affected by the negative karma can also come. Like Little Mo's face or those who are crippled, they can all come together. Guopai said softly. Little Bad, one last question. Let's not talk about whether or not you can solve the problem of the Ghost Doctor sect. Why are you helping our Ghost Doctor sect? Yuanjia asked softly as he clenched his fists. Don't lose your reason in the face of great joy. The Ghost Doctor sect is fortunate to have you as the sect master. As for why I am helping your Ghost Doctor sect, it is because I am willing to. If you're not satisfied with this answer, then you can take it that I am interested in Hemo as a betrothal gift. After Guopai finished speaking, Hemo's face flushed red. She had an indescribable feeling towards this sect master who was 2 years younger than her. Hearing Guopai's words, her heart raced. Little Bad, no matter what the result is, I will still betroth little Emo to you. Interesting. After so many years, you are the most interesting person I have ever met. Yuanjia laughed and said, when Sean passed down the order, everyone is to gather here at 1 in the afternoon. The Ghost Doctor sect will be sealed today and will set up defenses 3 miles away. Anyone who dares to break in will be killed without mercy. Brother Qin, if there are some people who are difficult to deal with, I will have to trouble you. Yuanjia looked at Qin Fengyu and said with a smile. Qin Fengyu gently nodded. Since he had followed Guopai to the Ghost Doctor sect, if anything happened, he would naturally lend a helping hand. It could be considered as returning the favor to Guopai. Guopai walked around the Ghost Doctor sect, placing the 108 pieces of top-quality jade in a specific place. Moreover, there were people who were watching over them. When he was done, he returned to the reception hall of the Ghost Doctor sect. The reception hall was already filled with people. Everyone looked at Guopai with different expressions. However, when Yuanjia told them that Guopai was going to solve the problem of their karma, everyone's expression was the same. They did not believe him. Chapter 234. Big Brother, you can't possibly think that this brat will be able to solve the 1,000-year-old problem of our Ghost Doctor sect, right? Yuan Shui, Emo's third uncle, softly asked Emo's father. This brat knows some medical skills. Just now, he connected little Feng and little Yu's arms, but he said that he can solve the problem of our Ghost Doctor sect. I don't believe him, but the old man does. We just have to cooperate with him. Don't make the old man angry, Yuan Shan whispered. The few people nodded together. Looking at the old man's confident appearance, they began to guess the old man's disappointed expression. Old man, you stand in the center. Everyone else, stand according to the positions I pointed out. I hope that no matter what happens later, you won't be surprised. I will first help Wu Xiao solve the problem of his body. As for the scars on the other people's faces, they're just small problems, Guopai said loudly, but the Ghost Doctor sect's disciples didn't seem to be interested in his words. However, all the Xiantian masters still stood according to Guopai's instructions. Guopai gave everyone a medicinal pill. At this time, the Ghost Doctor sect's Wu Xiao began to have a whole new level of respect for Guopai. The Xiantian masters received 3-color medicinal pills, the Enlightened masters received 7-color medicinal pills, and Yuanjia received a 9-colored medicinal pill. The Ghost Doctor's 13 needles method of saving people uses the souls of the dead as a medium. After a long time, you all owe these souls an explanation. Today, I will help you to explain clearly to them. As for the legendary Ghost Doctor's 13 needles, this young master doesn't have it here. Let's first solve the problem in front of us. Guopai said, closed his eyes, and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. He slowly poured out a drop of cold blood. I, in the name of the great shaman, request to open the door of the underworld. All the souls of the mortal world can enter the underworld. Let this brat take responsibility for the troubles brought to the underworld. Guopai said, fiercely bit down, and spat out a mouthful of blood essence, directly covering the drop of blood. Then he took out 8 black flags from the old lord's gourd and threw them into the void. A 1 meter by 2 meter door slowly appeared in the void. What's that? Magic? Someone from the Ghost Doctor sect said softly. However, the 63 people standing below the door felt completely different. They could clearly feel that the things that had been suppressing their auras were beginning to disappear from their bodies. Hyunjia, who was standing directly below the door, felt it the most clearly. He could even see a trace of a remnant soul leaving his body. In a large stockade, 100 li away, for fasting experts, 3 men and 1 woman were sitting around a piece of 1,000-year-old ice. There were some fruits on the ice, and they were chatting and laughing. "Big brother, how long do you think that old bastard, Hyunjia of the Ghost Doctor sect, can last? Last time we sent someone to test him, and he was at most as strong as me. What are we waiting for? Let's go and seize the stronghold of the Ghost Doctor sect. In the future, the 4 symbols will have the final say in this Yin-Yang mountain." The guy with the biggest build among the 4 said with a smile. This person was the 4 symbols sect's White Tiger sect's Chun Wanjin. Although we don't have much contact with the outside world, if we rashly make a move against the Ghost Doctor sect, unless we can catch them all in one fell swoop, our 4 symbols sect will be in trouble. Those people from Huaxia's special ability group are not easy to deal with. The Azure Dragon sect's Yin Tianjin said softly. "Big brother, our people outside sent news that Hyunjia's granddaughter, who is in Wu Castle, will be coming to the Ghost Doctor sect today. I think this should be our chance. If we don't seize this opportunity, it will be difficult to find another one like this in the future." The only woman among the 4, the Vermilion Bird sect's Li Feng, said with narrowed eyes. "Fourth sister, if we really go up against that old bastard Hyunjia, you won't be unable to do it, right?" The Black Tortoise sect's Xiaoranduan said half-jokingly. Bang! The ice surrounding the 4 of them was shattered by Li Feng's palm. She glared at the 3 people beside her. "Xiaoranduan, if you dare to say such things again, I don't mind using this palm to test it out on you." "Fourth sister, don't be angry. Third brother was just joking. You're already so old. How can you still have such a temper?" Yin Tianjin said with a smile. "Don't joke with an old woman. I have such a temper. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." After saying that, Li Feng finished the tea in her cup in one gulp. She then crushed the purple sand cup in her hand and turned around to leave. Eldest grandfather, the Ghost Doctor sect has sealed off their stronghold 3 miles away. I don't know why, but Xiao He, who is studying in Wu Castle, has returned. A young man hurriedly ran into the room and said softly, "Sealing off their stronghold 3 miles away? What are old He and Hu trying to do?" Yin Tianjin said with narrowed eyes. "Eldest grandfather, today Xiao Wu and I beat up 2 of the Ghost Doctor sect's disciples who were picking herbs. Later, we saw a car heading in the direction of the Ghost Doctor sect. Mo brought a very powerful old man with him." Yin Sun said softly. "It seems that the He family's girl has gained a lot from her trip outside. She actually managed to find a helper for the Ghost Doctor sect. We can't wait any longer." Yin Tianjin said softly. Li Feng's face was full of excitement. "Eldest grandfather, second uncle asked me to call you to the observatory." Another young man hurriedly ran into the room and said loudly, "Let's go and take a look. Yin Zue called me. It seems that something has happened." After saying that, Yin Tianjin's figure flashed and disappeared from the room. "Little Zue, what's the matter?" The 4 old men came to the observatory together and asked with a smile, "Father, come up and take a look. There's a big movement in the Ghost Doctor sect." Yin Zue said softly, his eyes still looking in the direction of the Ghost Doctor sect. "What big movement can there be? They're just a bunch of shrimp soldiers and crab generals." After saying that, the 4 old men jumped up and stood together on the observatory. How could this be? Who set up a formation in the Ghost Doctor sect? We can't see what's going on in the Ghost Doctor sect." Xiaoranduan said in shock. "Third uncle, we just arrived at midnight. I was looking at the sky when I felt that there was something wrong with the Ghost Doctor sect. When I looked again, it was already like this." Yin Zue said softly. "They're just pretending to be mysterious. I think they've researched some kind of formation from ancient books. Don't worry about them. Tomorrow, I'll bring some people to talk about what's going on. If that little girl, Mo, still hasn't left, we'll capture her for Xiao Sun to be his wife." Qin Wanjin said with a smile. Second brother, that's not right. The Ghost Doctor sect doesn't have such great ability. I have to go see what they're up to. In Tianjin said softly. Big brother, I'll go with you. Li Feng nodded in agreement. The two figures had already disappeared from the observatory. Third brother, let's go take a look together. Qin Wanjin said with a smile. His figure flashed and disappeared from the observatory. Little Zhe, gather all the Xiantian disciples of the Four Symbols sect and have them be on standby. If there's a situation, we'll probably start a war with the Ghost Doctor sect today. Ha! After waiting for so long, it's finally here. After saying that, Xiao Renduan also disappeared from the observatory. The moment Guo Pai activated the formation, Qin Fengyu's heart was filled with shock. This brat really knows how to cause trouble. This was the first time he'd seen such a formation in all his years of life. It seemed that Guo Pai really was a disciple of some hidden sect. Otherwise, how could he activate such a formation? Fourth sister, we'll act according to the situation. The person that little girl from the He clan invited is stronger than us. Yin Tianjin said to Li Feng the moment he sensed Qin Fengyu. Of course, at this time, Qin Fengyu also sensed the four uninvited guests coming towards them. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.